And welcome back, everyone. It's that time. I have a tasty adult beverage here. This is a mix of gin, vodka, lime juice, and ginger ale. Oh, and a little cherry hearing for just a little punch. Very refreshing on a day like this. It's not very hot out, hence why I'm outside. I've also got an extension cord for my computer, so I can be out here indefinitely. And yeah, we're here for the Q&A. Now, we got 41 comments here. A lot of people gave multiple questions. So, look, you know how this works. Let's just get into it. Starting off from Dennis Servin. Hey ho, Clockwork. Hey ho, Dennis. I thank you for yet another 2 months of great content since the last Q&A. You're doing brilliant as always. Well, thank you. Not everyone agrees, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I like to think I'm doing at least pretty okay. So now let's start the questions. 1 of 9. To start with, I have noticed something up with the sound of your videos. Okay, I've had more than one person bring this up before. On some of your videos, the sound is high and some is lower. Is that something you've noticed? Just thought I'd bring it to your attention. It might just be me, though. Okay, that's not just you. I have had other people bring that up. Now, as I've said multiple times, I do this pretty bare bones. I have, obviously, the OBS that allows me to at least, and if you hear some noise, it's a plane flying by. I have the OBS, which allows me to do some imagery, stuff like that. I can, in fact, put, like, the image of what I'm looking at on my computer screen up there. But I'm pretty low maintenance because I've just never, A, I've never learned, and B, it's not that I couldn't learn to do more advanced stuff. It's just that my brain doesn't handle technology very well. I'm not tech savvy. It takes a long while for me to actually learn how something works when it comes to technology. So because of that, it's very likely what's happened on those occasions is that the settings on my OBS have been a little off. I have had to adjust them over time. Like I actually put the mix aux here, not the desktop audio, but the mix aux bar a little higher so that my volume would be a little bit, my volume would be a little higher so you can hear me a little better. It does, however, result in a little prompt on the bottom screen saying encoding overload. Consider turning down video settings or using a faster encoding preset. So again, my OBS updates every once in a while, but I may have to like switch out of OBS to something else at some point. But yeah, that's why occasionally the sound has been a little off. Also, someone brought up the question. Now I don't know if in the Q&A, but also somewhere else a bit ago, like within the last day. The video lagging. Occasionally, like watching this right now, like watching me, I'm not lagging right now. Obviously, I'm not. But occasionally, when there's multiple stuff in the background, it does cause the video, like there's just too much going on for the video, for the whole system to process it. Hence why you get a lag. And hence why I stopped doing reaction videos, because the video for the actual video itself was lagging. Like they couldn't keep up with each other, which wasn't how it initially started when I started doing actual reactions. It used to be fine, but as time's gone on, it's just kind of not, it hasn't caught up. Maybe I need to get my computer kind of scrubbed out for stuff. Anyway, I digress. So thank you for the question. Now, 2, do you have a favorite rock band artist? Of classic rock, my all-time favorite band is Led Zeppelin. My dad turned me on to Led Zeppelin. That was his favorite band. It's kicking in. No, favorite band. So Led Zeppelin is my all-time favorite rock band. However, if I'm to think of a couple other ones, I love mostly classic rock to begin with. Queen, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Pink Floyd. But if I were to think of maybe a few more modern era rockers, it's weird to say, believe it or not, I don't mind Nickelback that much. I don't love all their songs, but Rockstar is a decent song. I don't care about Photograph that much. Hero, look, Hero is an under freaking rated song by them. Okay, and they say that a hero will save us. That was for Spider-Man. I don't care what anyone says. That's a good song. I also don't mind. What are they? Breaking Benjamin. I kind of like Breaking Benjamin. I also love Linkin Park. Linkin Park is more like a weird mix of rap, metal, rock, and almost like techno a little bit. Linkin Park has kind of always been its own genre, but those are some of my favorites. Top 5 isekai anime. I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of isekai animes, transported to a different world type of animes. So I couldn't really answer that question, unfortunately. Speaking of isekai, what kind of isekai would you think would be most interesting? Like, it can be about anything you want. Magic, mecha, swords, anything. So basically, when you're saying which one do I find most interesting, what do I find the most interesting world to insert someone in? See, that all depends on where that person is coming from. Because technically speaking, you could have someone of just say like of mecha, like computer technology, thrown into a world of magic, and essentially be the Iron Man to the Doctor Strange world. Or you could go vice versa. You could have someone who uses magic, pure magic that is not understood by science, thrown into a tech world, and now he's fighting off mechanized foes, and they just can't understand this sort of like power he uses. So that's really a catch-22, isn't it? Like you could theoretically do anything with that. But in terms of like just say you get your average schmo who doesn't have any abilities thrown into a world kind of isekai, I prefer the basic sword and sandals kind of thing. Sword and sandals, sword, shields, medieval kind of stuff. You could throw a little magic in there. I like that. Never mind. I'm sorry to say that I think I missed you explaining your new job. What do you do for work now? It's okay. Actually, I haven't brought it up very much. So for those of you who have been following for a little while, about, oh God, how long has it been now? We're in August. About 2.5 months ago, because I might as well say 3 months ago, because we're almost at the end of August. About 3 months ago, I lost my job. It was unfortunate. We didn't see it coming. We had very little time, but I lost my job. It was sucked. So I took about a week. Actually, I took about a month off, just to recoup, refresh, all that. I must say it was a pleasant month off, all things considered. But then I got rehired. Now, I used to work at a local chain that's no longer around, so I can say the name, Smithland Supply in the Massachusetts, Connecticut area. And they started off as like a lawn and garden store, and then they bought our pet store, Dave's Soda Pet Food City, and absorbed it. And for several years, we kept going. But eventually, between the pandemic and a lot of other things, our business was killed. Plus, if I'm going to be honest, I don't think the owners were the best business owners. Now, bad people, just not the most business savvy. Now, with that being said, I'm now currently working as a dog washer at a PetSmart. And you know what? Honestly, I like the job quite a bit. I mean, I get my dog therapy every day, just get to meet dogs because that's part of my job. My hours, I've got okay. I mean, I'm not full time, but I've got good hours, and I make more per hour right now than I did the previous job. Plus, I get tips, and I'm getting like 3 days off a week, and still making almost as much as I did at the previous job. So honestly, I like my job right now, so I'm sitting all right. So yeah, that's currently what I do for a living right now. I'm a dog washer. All right, number 6. Out of all Spider-Man love interests, Felicia, Gwen, MJ, etc., who do you find the most interesting? Okay, who do I like the most, or who do I find the most interesting character? Like, who do I like most with Peter? Who do I find the most interesting character overall? Oh my God, I just saw a hummingbird. Hello, hummingbird. So that's a good question. Because when she's written properly, I like MJ the most. But obviously, in recent years, they really, really fucked MJ over as a character. And Peter by association. Man, did they not do her character any favors. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't like as dead set on hating on Spider-Man and all that, but I have to admit, like, I don't know what the writer's issue with Mary Jane or Peter Parker was, but man, they did not do that character any favors at all. And I think she's like, what is she like the current Venom? If I've got that right. Hold on, Mary Jane Watson. Isn't she like, or at the very minimum, she was like a former Mary Jane Watson. Come on, Watson. There we go. Mary Jane Watson. Isn't she like, I know she, like, there's been comics where she, like recently, where she had the Venom symbiote. Isn't that right? So, does she? I mean, she also became a superhero, which made no freaking sense. Like, by the way, her like boyfriend Paul, apparently he was getting like so much hate, but to be fair, Paul actually didn't do anything wrong in that sense. Yeah, no shit, that's right, she's actually, no joke, she is 616 Mary Jane is the current Venom host. She is Venom right now. What the hell, right? I mean, black and gold costume and possesses the typical powers of the Venom host. Yeah, I will. By the way, I actually do like Venom's new design with the gold, gold, like spider emblem and stuff like that. But yeah, she's the new Venom symbiote. That is weird as hell, or a host. That is weird as hell. So yeah, when we're talking about when she's written well, I like Mary Jane the most. But if we're just talking about them right now, who do I like most as Peter's love interest? And if we're looking at it from the comics perspective, just the comics, I would probably go Black Cat. I mean, yeah, it is a Catwoman Batman relationship that's kind of like almost is but never will be kind of thing. But she is honestly the more interesting character anyway right now. And obviously Gwen, the only interesting character versions of Gwen that are alive right now are like Spider Gwen and stuff like that, and they have no romantic relations with Peter. So yeah, I would say if she's written right, MJ is my preferred, because that is his kind of like the love of his life. That's his Betty Ross to his Bruce Banner. That's his Jean Grey to his Cyclops. That's what that's supposed to be. But right now they're not doing her any favor. I think though, making the Venom symbiote is an interesting choice, or host is an interesting choice. So and she, as far as I know, she did just break it off with Paul in the comics. So maybe they are going to start. Maybe these are different writers who went like, "What the hell did you idiots do?" Okay, we got to figure out a way to get her away from Paul. Okay, great. Okay, so 7. Do you have a favorite birthday cake that you'll always have each year, or do you vary between different ones? Personally, I have the same kind. Okay, so I am not picky when it comes to cake, really. Actually, believe it or not, for a long time I was more of a pie guy than a cake guy. I liked cake fine. I just didn't go for cake. But in the recent years, I have moved more over to cake. Now, is there a specific cake I have each year? No, because I don't have a birthday cake very often. I'm 35 right now, going on 36. And as you get older, and it's not true for everyone. Let me be very clear. But as you get older, you just kind of, for me anyway, don't find your birthday less and less important. Like, yes, I now know I'm turning older, and I'm glad people at least want to appreciate the day of my birth and celebrate that. And the people who want to do stuff with me, I will never say no to. But I myself am not going a long mile out of my way to do much, and that includes getting a cake. But if we're talking about some of my favorite cakes, I mean, I will never say no to like a really rich chocolate cake. Mind you, I can only have like one slice at a time for obvious reasons because it's just how rich that is. But I am actually really fond of like cannoli cakes. If you actually get a good cannoli cake with the filling in there, oh, those bad boys are good. Because I'm a cannoli guy anyway. I love cannolis. Do you have any tips of how to talk to girls, like a good conversation starter and such? Um, Look, you are talking to a guy who is in a relationship, but couldn't tell you how he got in any of his relationships. I will say this: if you're looking just to talk to girls, actually no, what I'm about to say is probably just a good tip in general, and no joke, never. Never, and maybe this stems from low self-esteem back in the day, lack of confidence back in the day. But I still believe right now, never talk to a girl thinking you're gonna get her in bed, go on a date or anything. Talk to a girl like you just want to be not like if you want to be just be her friend. If you're interested, if you just think she's a cool person and want to get to know her, talk to her like that. Talk to her like a human being. Talk to her like you are just interested in what she's saying because hopefully you are interested. Don't fake being interested. Never fake anything whenever you're approaching a guy, a girl, a non-binary, whatever, anyone you're attracted to. Because that's kind of how even any girl I've ever approached, any person I've ever approached that I found attractive and be like, hey, I might want to get to know you more intimately at some point in the future. I also approach with the mindset like, hey, you're probably way out of my league and I stand no shot. So I'm not going to try to attempt to get with you in any obvious way. I'm simply going to talk to you, get to know you, and then maybe occasionally start to flirt a little bit. Like never just not do anything, but start out the relationship with just having conversation. And if she's throwing hints your way, like that she's into you, then you can kind of throw some hints back. But never start flirting. Never immediately just never immediately start talking and then start laying down. No, just talk to have a conversation. Never go in expecting anything other than, hey, let's have a conversation. That's it. Just talk to them. Now, if you're shy around women, that's a different thing, obviously. If you're asking me what's a good conversation, how tips to talk to girls and all that, just find the moment you're comfortable with. You have to be comfortable when you're talking to them. Now, don't get me wrong. There are women out there that would find awkward and a little shy, endearing and cute and a little adorable. Absolutely, I can't argue that point. But at the same time, don't if you want to at least be the best version of yourself, I guess it is. I guess what I'm saying, or at least the honest version of yourself. Just try to approach it when you're comfortable. So that's what I would say there. And to finish off, and we're only on our first question or first comment. So, oh man. And to finish off, I have always had an interest in family and family slash relative slash. I think you mean family relatives family slash relative history. You didn't have to put the slash after the relatives. Do you have an interest in yours? If so, have you found out something cool about one of your relatives? Thanks for great content again, man. Keep up going. I wish you absolute best and everything. Stay awesome. Well, thank you for that. Not overly do I have an interest in family history, but I have learned things about my family history. I did learn that on my dad's side, had someone not made some really bad investments, I'd actually probably have been born into a significant amount of money, all things considered. There would have been, we had owned a lot of land, apparently, back in the day. So there is that. But otherwise, I mean, I know I'm mostly Irish because and with European mixed in there and a little bit of Indian. But I'm mostly Irish. Yeah, otherwise there isn't long distance in terms of my relatives. I don't have any real knowledge on what is and what isn't going on in my family tree. And I don't think that's really all that bad, all things considered. Not everyone needs to know everything about your past. I don't know how far my family. I mean, we all know that our family trees technically go back all the way into caveman period, but I don't think anyone can trace their heritage back that far. All right then. So thanks for the question, Diego Lorentes, who's commented multiple times with many questions. So I'll just, I'm not even going to bother searching for them after we go through this. I'm just going to find them as they go. Okay, you got some new questions so I got new questions for you. Let's do it. Name the top 3 favorite ice cream flavors. Well, believe it or not, I will throw vanilla in there. Vanilla is just a tried and true flavor. It's also a very refreshing flavor and something that you don't need to add stuff to. So if you just want some basic ice cream, just kind of freshen up your day, vanilla actually would be in my top 3, believe it or not. But any sort of chocolate peanut butter combo. I love chocolate and peanut butter put together. And honestly, a mocha chip, a coffee ice cream with Java, chocolate chips in there, that have bits of cookie and bits in there. Absolutely, I love that. So those would probably be in my top 3. But that's one of those things you ask me on any given day that could change. So yeah, there's that. What is your best pizza topping ever? Bacon. While I grew up as a pepperoni guy, and I am a pepperoni guy over cheese, if you're asking me the best topping, it's bacon, because bacon goes with nearly everything. Only one time I've ever had a bacon flavored anything and wasn't good, and that was a bacon flavored soda. That thing was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Do you have any plans to retire? Well, I'm only 35. I mean, I do have an IRA that I have. So that will accrue until I get a 401k back with a full-time job. So I did have 401k with my previous job, and that's an IRA right now. So do I have plans to retire? Eventually, at some point, maybe. But to be fair, I mean, if I somehow end up making money at this, I could do this until I die and to be perfectly fine. I would still file for retirement still. Who is the most evil in your opinion? Pennywise, the Joker, Freddy Krueger, or even Green Goblin or Slappy Dummy or Bill Cipher? I don't know why you put or even. But out of these guys, okay, so the most Slappy is really just kind of generic evil. He's not the most evil. Green Goblin. See, the thing is, with someone like Green Goblin, you can negotiate with the Green Goblin on some level. I mean, he's evil. He's done some effed up crap, but I wouldn't call him the most evil. Freddy is a child killer, though, and that gets real big points. But so is Pennywise and the Joker and Bill. Slappy technically is a child killer too, but not really. And he is still, in terms of evil, he's hardly the most evil in terms of grand schemes. Freddy does it for the pure joy. Joker does it because he's just insane. So I'd actually believe it or not, I'd actually put Freddy over Joker, because Joker doesn't kill kids because he's evil. He's evil, therefore he kills kids. But But no, Freddy is evil because he kills kids. Like he is a known child killer and possible pedophile. So yeah, no, the pedophile was alluded to in the original series, confirmed in the remake. Pennywise though eats kids and probably does other and fucks with kids hard. So oof. And then Bill is like a complete multiversal threat because he has just no. But Bill, you can at least make a deal with it if you're smart enough. Maybe negotiate and maybe outdeal him. I'd probably it's gotta be either the Freddy Krueger or Pennywise because they both deal with kids. It's a different level of evil. One just kills and possibly diddles kids. The other eats kids. Honestly, I mean, I'm gonna go with the guy who maybe diddles kids because that's just the level of that's like evil so great that even other evil people will say, no, 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 no. Once you get in prison, your ass is grass. Even other normal rapists would be like, no, 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 no. By the way, I don't give a crap about the algorithm for saying these words. I know it's a trigger issue, but I'm not monetized, so I don't give a shit if you try to do something. You can't demonetize what's not already monetized. All right, give me your 5 best candy bars in your opinion. Okay, I guess that it depends on what you define as a candy bar, because Reese's is probably my number 1, but it's not necessarily a candy bar. Although they do make candy bar, items. So I would go Reese's. Actually, if we're going candy bar, Reese's outrageous. Those things are freaking crack, man. I tell you. Then, believe it or not, I do like a Musketeers bar. Oh, and Domino's and my puppet's making a pee. Good baby making pee-pees outside. Um, so I would say, let's see here. Yeah, I would say Musketeers bar. I do not. I'm actually not a Snickers fan. I don't like nuts in my candy bars. But Butterfingers, I love a Butterfinger once in a while. I mean, digging out that peanut brittle in there is very much, tried and tradition when it comes to Butterfingers. Honestly, just a Nestle Crunch bar. Those things are good. Like I like a Nestle Crunch bar, and I'm trying to think. And a whatchamacallit. I actually like whatchamacallits. Those are pretty good. Like the Rice Krispies, a little bit of caramel, peanut butter. I like a whatchamacallit. What's on your bucket list? Things to do before I die. I don't think about that very often because obviously I'm young and hopefully in good health. I'd like to think I'm in good health. But I'd like to play in like my dad, who also has a bucket list item. I'd like to play in the World Series at least once. A poker, mind you. World Series of Poker at least once. I don't know. I wouldn't mind traveling to certain like food joints across the country. That would be good. And maybe I'm not saying this is a real bucket list, but maybe going overseas somewhere just once. I've never actually been outside the country ever. So, and I don't mean like going to Canada or like Mexico or something that's connected. I mean like crossing the ocean, taking a plane, going somewhere like Europe or I don't know, Australia or something like that. Places that would just be cool to visit. And so maybe something like that would be good. Anything else I put on my bucket list is not something I'd say is safe for safe for the channel for me to tell the channel. As a guy still in his prime, let's just say, there's things I would not say openly on this channel that would still be in my bucket list. All right, but and what's your favorite episode of Supernatural? Could not tell you that. Absolutely couldn't tell you that. We only just finished episode season 6, and right now we're on a break. So we're going to season 7 next. So I could not tell you my favorite episode of Supernatural. Do you remember collecting toys when you were a kid? Oh, I collected plenty of toys. Star Wars figurines was a big one. Action figures, I collected those. Did collect Beanie Babies for a while when that craze was going on. Let's see here. I didn't collect Transformers, but I definitely had a fair bit of Transformers. But yeah, those are really some of the toys I collected. What's your favorite Explorer SCP? Haven't watched those in a while. Couldn't tell you. Sorry. So what object class would Albert Wesker from Resident Evil be? He'd be I believe it's called Euclid. Because remember, the classification is a combination of how dangerous they are, but it's mostly about how easy it is to contain them. Wesker, as powerful he is, it really actually wouldn't. Honestly, he's either between safe and Euclid because he is powerful and dangerous. But honestly, he's no more dangerous than say Kane. Honestly, he's probably less dangerous than Kane by a large margin. Kane's a Cater class is the problem. So if he's less dangerous than Kane, he has to probably, because it's all got. If we're talking about containment, really all you'd have to do is lock his ass up. You'd have to really bind his ass down, but you could lock his ass up. He'd be fine. So at best Euclid, at lowest safe. Also, what object has the virus? Wait, also, in what object has the virus from Resident Evil will be to? Okay, so what you're also saying is, I'm guessing you're asking me what would the T virus's classification be? Let me just read that one more time. And also, in what object has the virus from Resident Evil will be to? I have no idea what that sentence is saying. I'm guessing you're meaning what would that classification be to? That'd be safe because you can contain a virus. So yeah. Who would actually win in your opinion? The Indoraptor from Fallen Kingdom or versus Albert Wesker? Just in a hypothetical. Just for a quick answer, Albert Wesker. As strong as the Indoraptor is, Albert Wesker, especially if you get like him at his peak, would beat the shit out of the Indoraptor. He bullet times, for God's sake. The Indoraptor does not do that. Okay, would I rather be a Jurassic Park guard, a security guard in Five Nights at Freddy's, a D-class of the SCP Foundation, or an agent of the Men in Black, or even Umbrella Corporation? Which is the worst job in your opinion? Okay, which one would I rather be? Hands down, Men in Black. Men in Black, I'm gonna get training to be in the MIB. Like, despite the fact that they're obviously like K and J are far above most other agents, most agents are actually very well trained in the Men in Black. They're just we just don't see a lot of them. And so I could theoretically train myself to be like K or J, be awesome and all that. So and plus I get cool weaponry, I still get the tech. So no, yeah, Men in Black, absolutely. That's where I'd choose. Because the security guard Jurassic Park, I'm not taking my chances. Like, I think, in order, do not want to work for the Umbrella Corporation. I do not want to risk, I'm not going to, because here's the thing, if it's a fight or flight scenario, if I think I can actually take them in a fight, I'll fight. There's no way I could beat a freaking animatronic unless I'm got a wrench or something like that and then just go to town on them. I'm not going to try Five Nights at Freddy's. Are you kidding me? Security guard at Jurassic Park, I gotta stay safe indoors. I'm not leaving that guard like where I am. Unless I know dinosaurs are getting in the facility I'm in, I'm not leaving that room. SCP is another one of those where I feel like, because I also have knowledge of the SCP Foundation, like straight out, I might be a little bit more resistant, even though I'm a D-class employee. I might be a little more resistant to certain things because I'm aware. Like, there's a perfect example. There is an SCP that is a tiger, but it has this illusion on it, like this guy's, where it looks like a kitten and you can play with it and then it eats you. I wouldn't be stupid enough to fall for that shit. So, yeah. So again, I would work for the MIB. That'd be my number one, guaranteed. What's the worst job to take? Oh, it's the FCP. Oh, 100% it's the SCP, because as we've seen in the games, you can survive Five Nights at Freddy's. Not every Umbrella Corporation employee is dead. Jurassic Park security guards have survived. D-class SCP Foundation members are literally disposable fodder. Like, hell no would I not want to work for the SCP. Not unless I'm at least a higher security clearance. Or a higher rated guard or something like that. Oh, so what object class would the Death Note be in the for SCP? Oh, it's safe. It's safe, absolutely. Because it's just, again, it's all a matter of containment. You can just keep that thing in storage and no one touches it. Unless the Shinigami who drops it comes to get it. In which case, then you're looking at maybe either Euclid or possibly Cater. Because, technically speaking, the Shinigami shouldn't be bound by, like, the restrictions of whatever containment you're using for it. Also, what object class would be the Wishmaster from the movie Wishmaster be, in your opinion? Remember, the Djinn comes from the ruby. So really, it's a matter of containing the ruby. Honestly, so technically speaking, the Wishmaster himself would actually possibly be a Cater class, because he could just take his ruby and go. But if you're smart and you wish for him to be stuck in that ruby until someone else picks it up, like, he'd probably forget, because he always puts a negative spin on the wish if he can. But if you're just like, I want you sealed in that thing until someone picks it back up. And so yeah, he'd have that. There's nothing And and if you're smart, you'd be like, and I'm not, and no one else is joining you. So yeah, it may cost whoever does it. They probably use a D class to go to the point that I was making, a D class person to make that wish. But then all you gotta do is keep that thing under lock and key indefinitely. Period. And there you go. So he would either be a cater or he'd be a safe. It all depends on how you work with him. So there you go. Thanks for your questions, Diego. I know you got more. Okay, Wade Wilson, one of looks like 7. Hi there, Mr. Highlander. Well, hi there, Mr. Wade Wilson. I've been hyped for this Q&A. Well, I'm glad I can make your wishes finally come true. I've got a bunch of questions I didn't get to ask last time, and I'm not holding back this round. Let's dive in. I'm sure you'll have more next time, too. All right. Which villains do you enjoy more than the heroes? Not just cool powers, but I'm talking about presence, ideology, sheer charisma. Who makes the hero look boring by comparison? Okay. That is a tough one. Most of the time, I do prefer the hero over the villain, or at the very minimum, they're like lock key. I am not going to lie, though. There are a couple, at least, let's just look at the MCU, and I'm talking about MCU. If we're looking at when the villain was better, just in general, enjoyable than the hero, there are a couple standouts. One, Loki is more enjoyable than Thor. I love Thor, but he is just more enjoyable than Thor. But also, Hela is more enjoyable than Thor. Hell, even though he wasn't properly utilized, Gorr was frankly more interesting than Thor was in Thor: Love and Thunder. So there would be that. I'd also say that Wenwu probably is a little bit more interesting than Shang-Chi. I would definitely say that. After that, though, I'm just thinking the MCU real quick. I mean, Thanos is more interesting than a lot of the heroes in Infinity War, but not every one of them. So that could be that. But then if I go on the other side of the fence, so I think the Joker is more interesting than Batman. Surprisingly, no. He's not less interesting either, but because there really are two sides of the same coin, they are very much together. That being said, Lex Luthor is more interesting than Superman. Like that's just a guarantee for me. Because even when you do him right, Superman just doesn't have a very interesting personality style to him at all. All right, number 2. I have a wild crossover theory. I haven't watched Bleach, so I'm a bit in the dark. But could Goku end up in the Soul Society instead of King Kai's planet after dying? If time flows differently there, like I've heard, wouldn't it give him way more time to train? Would he get stronger than he did in King Kai? So, look, if I did a what if, of course I'd make it possible he could go in there. But is it even possible he could wind up in the Soul Society? Just due to the nature of the Soul Society kind of being a different plane of reality, it's difficult, but nothing's impossible. We've seen things breach the Soul Society before, so that's not impossible. Now, could he end up stronger than in King Kai's? In theory, if he became, say, a Shinigami or something, he could do that. If he learns things like Keto or whatever, it's entirely possible, but Reishi and Ki, while connected, are not entirely the same system, so that'd be difficult. Birthday one-shot. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, the one-shot you gave me is not a one-shot. What if Naruto found the Omnitrix? Bullshit, that's not a one-shot, dude. I'm sorry. Just imagine me only Shadow Clone and turning into Heat Blast. Would love to hear the fusion chaos of what it would look like. Yeah, I appreciate it, but there's no way in God's green earth that Naruto having the Omnitrix is a one-shot. I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just not sure where you get the idea that'd be a one-shot from. So if you got another, you didn't give me a birthday. You didn't give me when your birthday was, so I couldn't do that anyway. So I can't do that one. So you'll have to get some. Again, realistically, you gotta think when you're talking about one shots, you gotta actually think of something like, what if Naruto gained the Almighty from Bleach? Again, you don't know much about Bleach, as you said, but the Almighty, let me tell you right here and now, the Almighty, that's a one shot. Because there's no way I can realistically do an ongoing series when he has the power of God and affect causality and the future. So yeah. Anyway, here's the tough one. Which of these criminals wouldn't survive long in Gotham? Wait a minute. Which of these criminals wouldn't survive long in Gotham, but would still manage to profit big from going down? Keep in mind, they've been dealing with Gotham's heavy hitters. Oh, okay. They'd be dealing with Gotham's heavy hitters and Batman's. Okay, I'm sorry. You had a list here. So which of these, again, which of these criminals wouldn't survive long, would still manage to profit big before going down? Okay, so they don't last long, but they do manage to profit big. Okay. Got Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas. I can tell you right now, he's a mobster. He'll profit big before going down. So that's one. Mr. Blonde from Reservoir Dogs? No, not really. He's that's just like a standard gangster. Bernie Rose from Drive. I don't really know that one very well. Probably wouldn't profit very long. Norman Stansfield from Leon. Is that Leon the Professional? Is that Gary Oldman's character? Probably wouldn't last long. Michael Corleone, again, we've got things like Falcone in the world, so he'd probably be fine. Billy the Butcher, he'd be less fine. Patrick Bateman, no, he wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't profit. He'd probably kill some people, and Batman would take him down. Antoine Chigurh, look, as dangerous as he is in his own movie, in an actual Gotham, he'd be screwed. Absolutely, he would be. Kazuma Kiryu from Yakuza, I don't know that. Mafia, I don't know that either. Shin Megami Tensei, don't know that either. Mass Effect, don't know that either. Giovanni, again, he's a crime boss, so he should at least be able to profit before going down. Don't know Saints Row, Sally. Geese Howard, I do know Geese. He probably would end up being taken down by Batman for anything else. Same with Hayachi. I mean, as skilled martial arts they are, I don't think they actually stack up. I mean, that's not right. That sounds like I'm glazing Batman a little too much. I'm not trying to glaze Batman, but again, you really got to take in the fact that Batman really holds back. And honestly, they're not even the best martial artists in their own world. So there's that. M. Bison. Okay, M. Bison would be a difficult one. And then Tony Vincent, he'd be done. That's GTA. Who's getting chewed up? Most of these guys are getting chewed up. Who walks away richer? The only one who could actually be a legitimate problem in Gotham would be M. Bison, because he's the only one here who has any real semblance of superpowers. That Batman would legitimately have a problem, like using his psycho power. That Batman would actually have a legitimate problem with M. Bison. Not to mention the man is still built like a brick shithouse. So yeah, he would definitely struggle against him. And then dealing with my psycho power, and then possibly even trying to possess Batman at one point. That would be a great storyline. I'm not saying he would completely decimate Batman. Batman, though, would, in their initial confrontation, Batman would lose that confrontation. He'd have to get away. And then he'd have to approach M. Bison from a different tactic and standpoint. Now, granted, though, M. Bison is actually closer to, like, say, a Ra's al Ghul figure. He wouldn't really be operating in Gotham. He's a worldwide figure. But if he existed in the world and came across Batman, that would be an interesting matchup, to be sure. Number 5, the Petty King Showdown. Lex Luthor or Norman Osborn? Who takes the crown for most pettiest, most obsessive, most extra? 1,000% that's Lex. Norman suffers from just mental illness, is what he does. Yeah, he does also has a little bit of a split personality with the Goblin, though it's debatable how split that personality is. But he's not, he certainly is petty for Spider-Man, absolutely. I think there was the issue where he actually disguised himself and had sex with Gwen Stacy. That was messed up. But no, you want to talk about petty? Lex Luthor once had almost all of his limbs blown up. He was scarred. Superman came to help him, and he said, "No, get away from me." And none of it was Superman's fault, and he still was just a petulant child about it. Like, oh my God. Like, no, Lex is petty as hell against Superman. And other people too, let's be honest. I mean, the reason that his suit doesn't have a helmet is because, first off, it has an actual force field, so his head's actually protected. But B, he wants people to see his face when he beats their ass. Number 6, could Punisher clean up Gotham? Straight up, how many of Batman's rogues do you think Frank Castle could put down for good? Could he actually make the city safer? Gotham just break? So this is, I will probably do an off and on series where we're dealing with individuals taking on others' rogues galleries. So throwing Frank in Gotham would be a video series to do at some point. The long and short of it is, though, because of Frank's methods, he's very, very rarely does he give second chances. And most of Batman's criminals, he just sees as criminals. He doesn't see the people behind the problem as Batman does. Joker, we know for a fact he would kill Joker outright. Joker. Bane would be a bit more of a problem, but as long as he gets a headshot, it'd be fine. Like Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy, he might be a little bit more understanding of, maybe, because he might at least understand where she's coming from. But even then, he's only going to give her one chance, and that'd be nice on Frank's part if he did. Harley Quinn also is one he might, understanding her background, might give her a pass, maybe. But again, Joker, no. Like all Zaz, fuck no. Penguin, probably not. The only individuals in Batman's rogues gallery that he wouldn't be able to immediately put down would probably be Mr. Freeze, just because Mr. Freeze's tech outranks his. But if he just brings a flamethrower to the party, it'd probably work. Clayface. Clayface is the one that he needs specialized equipment to literally kill, which is Frank's MO. He literally just kills the bad guy. So he's going to need something special for Clayface. Finally, Lantern Corps pitch. Would Obsession make for a solid Lantern Corps concept? What kind of oath or ring mechanics would would work for people driven by obsession, whether noble or twisted? Looking for your thoughts. These ideas have been rattling in my brain for a minute. So no, Obsession actually doesn't work because Obsession actually ties into a combination of two different Lantern Corps. It goes with greed and it goes with love. In fact, it leans more towards love than anything else because obsession is actually a form of love. And it is identified by the Star Sapphires as such. So unfortunately, no, it actually is not a Lantern Corps that could work because it technically already exists. Thank you for the questions, though, Wade. All right, let's speed things along here. We're already at the 40-some-odd minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. We're at the 41-minute mark. We're doing okay. Kane Davis, do you enjoy playing video games? If so, what genre do you play the best? I do enjoy video games. I currently have my PS2 hooked up upstairs. I mean, my Xbox 360 is still there. You're like saying, Xbox 360, don't you have the Xbox One? No, I don't. But more to the point. And in terms of the type of games I play, RPGs are fun. Dark Cloud, one of my favorite games that I've ever played. And the sequel is really good too. I think I prefer the first one just a little bit more, but the sequel is damn good too. But in terms of like handheld, I just picked up the Switch 2. I've been replaying Scarlet and Violet. One of the big things I play is the Pokemon games. I play the Pokemon series every time I get a new game comes out. That's the end of that drink. But look, like I said, at 35, I'm not gonna fucking stop playing Pokemon. You kidding me? We can get to Gen 20. Actually, how old will I be when Gen 20 comes out? Hypothetically, Gen 10 is probably coming out next year. And that makes sense because we're getting ZA this year in October, which that's coming up fast, by the way. We just got the Mega Hawlucha, which is kind of awesome. We're gonna almost certainly get it because it's 30th anniversary next year, so Gen 10 is probably coming out next year. It's on average between 3 and 4 years between generation. So if we're just going to go on a limb and say every 3 years, just to average it out, that means 10 more years after next year where I'll be 37. Oh God, that time's gone. I will be 57 when Gen 20 comes out and still buying the damn game. And you know what? I apologize to no one for that. Okay, is it Rivet or Revent? I'm going to say Revent. What is your favorite plot twist for a movie or TV show or book or even a video game? Okay, plot twist for any of those genres. I really couldn't tell you the plot twist for a TV show, really. I'm sure, like Doctor Who's had plenty of plot twists, but the problem is I've already been. Well, no, you're not asking me if I was like blown away by a plot twist. You're just asking me what my favorite plot twist is. Okay, let me think on Doctor Who real quick. For a longest time, I was like, yeah, I'm iffy on Doctor Who. Then my girlfriend's like, I love Doctor Who. Let's watch Doctor Who. I was like, okay, we'll watch Doctor Who. And I'm like, God damn it, I love Doctor Who. Why did I not watch this sooner? But, okay. Best plot twist for Doctor Who. And I'm going to stick with Doctor Who for now. Because you're not asking for Doctor Who, you're just asking Gerald Lynn, but Doctor Who's TV. River Song being Melody Pond. That might be one of the best ones. That might be one of the best ones. Yeah, that's probably one of the best ones. It is. Okay, you also asked a couple more questions here. I got three more questions for I got three more questions for new question number 10. You should Google SCP 2747 on Villains Wiki and also Google. Okay, here's the thing, buddy. I need you to understand numbers real quick. Not that it's wrong, because I'm catching up to you after the fact because you asked more questions down the line here, and you asked more than three questions. I just think you got to get your numbers right when you do that. Bring a suggestion of who would win. Bring being a new suggestion for who would win. Have you watched Analyzing Evil on YouTube? No, I have not. 12. We'll catch you up to the other 10 later. So, what's your favorite Coldplay, Radiohead, Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, AC/DC song in your opinion? Okay, Coldplay. I don't really listen to Coldplay. I will say, I used to rule the world. Streets would, what was it? Streets would rise when I save the world. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets that I used to own. I like that song. Particularly if you ever watch Jonathan Young, I like his version of it. He's on YouTube. Radiohead, I'll be honest, I think Radiohead did Creep. I'll just say Creep because I can't remember a lot of their other songs. Nirvana, though. I mean, it's hard not to say Smells Like Teen Spirit. Guns N' Roses, okay. Guns N' Roses, though, I am a big Guns N' Roses fan. I should have probably thrown that in my favorite rock band thing. So, okay, it's either, believe it or not, I love Welcome to the Jungle. I do. And I'm not disrespecting it at all. But it's either Mr. Brownstone, Sweet Child of Mine, or I Used to Love Her, Now I Had to Kill Her. Because that one's actually about him burying his dog. And I was listening to that one the day my first dog had to be put down. No, actually, my second dog had to be put down. So that one, I do like that. Metallica, I mean, it's really hard to not say Enter Sandman. It's really, but I do love Unforgiven. Unforgiven is great. So that'd be a. So I actually would say Unforgiven over Enter Sandman. The Enter Sandman's a close segment. ACD song, I mean, Hell's Bells is great. Back in Black, but Thunderstruck is always being the build up to Thunderstruck is so good. So good. Wow. Thunder! Like, oh man, I can't get over that. So good. All right. Okay. Honest opinion about Megadeth farewell tour, or have you heard about the news? No, I haven't. I'm actually not a Megadeth fan. Sorry. And not that I don't hate I hate them. I just don't listen to them. 14. You should make a tier list about the epic rap battles and history videos you have seen. Just the idea. I mean, look, I am planning to do more tier videos. In fact, tomorrow or either today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow in the morning, because I got 2 movies to see tomorrow. I will probably do the Doctor Who tier list for Capaldi series. We just finished up Capaldi last week, and now we're taking a break before we go into Jodie. But yeah, no, I'm planning to do more tiers. That's not a bad idea. The only problem is you want to talk about such a hefty freaking tier list. The amount of epic rap battles that exist, that is huge. I'm not saying no, but I want to do a couple other ones before I even consider that. But that's not a bad idea. 15. Who is the most evil Lucifer? Who is the most evil? Lucifer from Supernatural, Light Yagami from Death Note, or even William Afton? Okay, William Afton's from Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay, William Afton's just a serial killer. You can't negotiate him. Believe it or not, you can negotiate with Light or Lucifer. Even Supernatural's Lucifer, you can make deals with and negotiate with. He even tried to better himself at points. Because I've seen bits of later seasons, and he did try to be better. He failed, but he tried. So believe it or not, there is a righteousness. There is a logic and justification for why Light and Lucifer did and do what they did and do. That sentence structure didn't make sense, but you know what I meant. For did what they did. Like they did actually. They're on some level. They do actually care about humanity, society, humanity, in the world. It's just, well, at least Light cared. And Lucifer cares about, loves the world and all that. So I'd actually, weirdly enough, to say William Afton is the most evil because he literally is just a child-killing monster. Question 16. Who actually hypothetically, that's a bit oxymoronic. Who hypothetically would win in the fight? Lucifer from Supernatural or Light Yagami from Death Note? The, Lucifer from Supernatural. That's no contest. Well, the Death Note, as far as I know, can't kill non-humans, and he's an angel. So that's a non-starter fight. That's Lucifer. He would literally snap his fingers and blow light up in an instant. Hell, he probably could even just bitch smack Ryuk around. Ryuk is a death god, but he doesn't actually have all that much power in terms of like combat. Who actually wins in that fight? Anyway, no worries. All right, from Chris Dash 9. Oh God, this is the way these are showing up here on the they're showing up in reverse here. Anyway, Chris Dash. How would you think think Stain's opinion of Daredevil and Punisher? I think you meant what would I think you more mean what do I think? I'm guessing Hero Killer Stain's opinion of Punisher and Daredevil would be. That's a good question, actually. I think he doesn't like Punisher that much. Well, actually, that's not true. He wants real heroes. And Daredevil, honestly, I think he would actually find respect for Daredevil. Like, especially because Daredevil has a no-kill rule. And he's like, no, a real hero doesn't just take lives. And because of that, even though he would respect Frank for trying to clean up a system, he'd probably like Frank a little less. Because he's not a hero. What do you think, what do I think Ultron's opinion about the Omnitrix would be? He'd probably find it interesting, but he doesn't like organic life. And furthermore, he'd find it a threat because the Omnitrix has aliens in there that would make him his bitch. I mean, freaking Gravitax alone, not Gravitax, was it? Oh, that feedback. Feedback alone could absorb any hit he has. Yeah, he'd go into pin particle space, but it really wouldn't matter. Upgrade would be problematic for him, but he could probably overpower Upgrade as it has trouble overpowering Sentient Robots. But Clockwork, Alien X, Atomics, all those guys could make him his bitch. Like, those guys are way too powerful for him. Maybe not Atomics, but definitely Clockwork. So yeah, he would first see it as not something he'd be interested in, but he'd also see it as, oh, I need to get rid of that thing. And I don't think he has the power to get rid of it. Although he may have the power to hack it. It is still technology. All right, what do I think the Hero Killer Stain's opinion of the X-Men would be? Honestly, he'd probably have a lot of respect for most of the X-Men, if not all of them, because they struggle against diversity. People hate and fear them, yet they still protect humanity. Like a hero. They put aside their feelings of hurt and pain to serve the people. And I think he'd actually really come to respect that about them. How would you think, what do I think Ultron's opinion of the Lantern Corps in Rings would be? Okay, that would be interesting. And I've never done a Lantern Corps yet for Ultron, at least I don't think I have, so that would be interesting. Because it is technology. It's highly advanced technology. It might even be more advanced than what Ultron is capable of, like hacking. But in theory, if he could hack a lantern ring, oh man, that would be an interesting concept. Let alone because we know, I think there's a living algorithm that is a Green Lantern, for example. So we know that non-organic individuals can, in fact, gain lantern rings because Ultron can feel emotions. He has sentience. The question is, I guess, what Lantern Corps do we think Ultron would be in? I'd have to really deep dive it and then do a video on it. But if I were to just throw it out there, honestly, no joke. Because of the cold logic, but because of the rage, he might be a Red Lantern. It's really weird to say. He could qualify. He also could be a Yellow Lantern too. But a red or yellow lantern really would fit with him. Also, he could be a Sky Lantern of Compassion because he just does not have it. That's a really good question. But he'd probably see them as dangerous competitors to him in terms of power. Definitely. Okay. What do you think Ultron's opinion of Metal Sonic and Sage would be? He'd find them interesting, but Ultron has literally conquered entire civilizations of AI. So honestly, he could probably hack both of them, to be honest. And he'd probably find them very useful. Honestly, no joke. It's very possible that Ultron could adapt their tech into him. And if he's adapting freaking Metal Sonic's tech into him, oh, that's problematic. Because that now makes him Chaos Emerald compatible. And it gives him advanced evolution. Like Ultron can evolve, yes, but he doesn't evolve in the way that Metal Sonic does. But that's irrelevant. If he gains that, oh man, Ultron, who's already freaking insanely powerful, would just be like so much more of a threat. And what do I think Ultron's opinion of E-123 Omega and the Decepticons? I don't know who E-123 Omega is. I'm guessing they're a Cybertronian of some kind. The Decepticons, he'd probably find a nuisance. Even Megatron with it, like say black antimatter, he'd probably find a nuisance. Thanks for the questions. All right, Noble Chief, let's go 10 questions. All right, let's go. 1 out of 10. Number 1. What's your thoughts on what Marvel's doing right now with the Predator comics crossing over with their other characters? They own the rights to Alien and Predator. They also did the Xenomorphs coming into the Marvel universe. Hell, they had Venom merge with a Xenomorph, which was pretty cool. Granted, that was they're one-shot stories. But I love it. You have access to it and crossover. Like I own the Batman and Predator, not Predator one, the Batman Xenomorph crossover, like omnibus, and a little bit of Predators are thrown in there too. I don't own the Batman versus Predator one. I should pick that up at some point if I can find it. But yeah, absolutely. Oh no, I dig it absolutely. And the Wolverine versus Predator one was awesome. 2, who's your fan cast for Marvel movies? Okay, I don't do fan casting. I've thought about doing videos for it, but I don't do fan casting very often. But if you're just asking my opinion right now, let's just say, I'm not even going to go like Wolverine. Let's just say right now, the core 5 X-Men, Cyclops, Angel, Jean Grey, I believe that's Beast, and Iceman. Plus, I'll throw in Magneto and Apocalypse into the equation there. Okay, who would I fan cast real quick? A lot of people have kind of thrown Henry Cavill out there for Cyclops. That wouldn't be a bad choice. But if I were just to say if I'm thinking of anyone more about, I like Glenn Powell as an idea, throwing him in the Marvel universe, but he's too pretty boyish. Like he's got too much of a wisecracker mentality for Cyclops. Cyclops needs to be a little bit more of a stick in the mud. He does. And unfortunately with new actors, I'm not as well versed on new actors right now. But I mean, just for the sake of argument, I will throw Henry Cavill out. But they are going to cast younger too. Almost certainly they're going to cast younger. So if I'm going a little younger real quick, if I can think of anyone off the top of my head, like I've seen the movies. I mean, Austin Butler, I like the idea of Austin Butler in one of those roles. But I don't think I'd see him as... I could actually see him more as an Angel. Because Angel can definitely wisecrack a little bit. Jean... oh, God. I didn't mind the idea of Sophie Turner casting. They didn't do anything good with her. And... Again, unfortunately, my roster of more upcoming actresses and actors are not the best. So you'll have to bear with me on this. Let's just say late 20s, early 30s for the cast. Or someone who can at least play that. That's probably the better way to go about that. Who's someone that isn't already in the MCU that could play those characters? Like, I'm trying to think of someone who could play Storm right now. It sucks because if they did Storm, honestly, if they cast Angela Bassett instead of Halle Berry, I would have bought it. Like, Angela Bassett would have been a perfect Storm. And I liked Halle Berry as Storm, too. Storm is tough. I don't know enough African-American black actresses right now who could qualify. And again, I don't necessarily mean that's like who are good enough. I mean, I literally don't know enough black actresses in that category most likely what's going to happen is for a lot of those guys, they're going to be people either we haven't heard of or we've only just heard, like they're relatively up and coming. Oh man, see, it's tough when I'm talking about that. So let me think on the opposite. Let me think about Magneto real quick. Magneto needs to be someone who can play him for a minimum of 10 years. Minimum 10 years. So you need someone, and people have often said it needs to be someone, you can't have Magneto be a child of the Holocaust. And then someone says, well, he doesn't age. Well, that's never been his power set. You can't just change that. I'm like, first of all, yes, you can. But it's not changing it. Because we're dealing with the multiverse saga, it looks like a lot, the mutants are coming in through Secret Wars and kind of merging universes back into each other and kind of combining histories, you can do that. So if I'm looking at maybe, again, not a ancient actor, an ancient actor, that's not the right way, an old actor, because again, we need someone who can play him for at least 10 years. But someone, let's say, in their mid 50s playing something older, or like early 40s, late 50s, or early 50s playing something older. Okay, that does open the door a bit. I mean, Bryan Cranston, I do like that idea. And remember, Magneto doesn't really carry much of an accent anymore with him, despite the fact he is German. I think he's German anyway. I know, or maybe he's Austrian. Either way, he was in the Holocaust. Ooh, see, this is the problem. I don't think on these enough. I'd have to really go over actors. But I mean, someone like I'm not Daniel Day-Lewis. Again, this is really tough, actually. It really is, because you're asking for fan casting. I don't fan cast is the problem. Like, let me go on the opposite side here. Let me go to DC because that was your next question. Can I think of a couple extra people to play some of the more known characters? Okay, that's a little easier. Like, for example, I do like the idea of Alan Richardson as Batman, but I'm sure we're getting a different Batman. He might be Batman, but I don't know if he is going to be Batman. He's got the physique. Goddamn, Batman built. He's also, I think, a solid enough actor that you could do that. But beyond that, I mean, there are several other actors you could probably throw out there. I wouldn't mind seeing Henry Cavill come back into the DC universe, but I don't think they're going to do that for sake of avoiding like issues. And some of the other actors, like Scott Adkins, who could be good, he's just starting to get too old. You need an actor who's probably in their late 30s, early 40s, who is younger, older than Superman, but young enough to be playing this for a while. Like, I like the idea back in the day of Josh Brolin playing Batman. That was actually a really good casting idea. But now that Brolin's in his upper 50s, I don't think he could do that anymore, which sucks. Because I like him as Cable too, and he's great as Thanos, obviously. But Wonder Woman, they threw out the suggestion of the actress from Rogue One who plays Andor's love interest. That's actually not a bad option. Because remember, Wonder Woman isn't white. She's depicted, but she's Greek, so she should be like olive skinned. Also, the actress who played Elektra in Daredevil, I could buy that absolutely. There are many different actresses who could play Wonder Woman. What about someone like a Flash or a Aquaman? See, that depends on the type of Aquaman you're going. See, they went with a different type of Aquaman than what we got in the comics normally with Jason Momoa. And that's kind of the one we're used to at the moment. If we're going more Arthur Curry, straight blonde, a little bit more, less wild child, maybe not completely less wild child, but less wild child, a bit more hard and serious. Is there anyone right now who's Again, I'll throw Austin Butler into the mix. I don't know if he could be Aquaman. He could be a Flash. He could be a Flash, definitely. But again, the problem is too, I don't follow a lot of the new upcoming actors, and the problem for these castings are you need more upcoming actors. I once heard though, like Pierce Brosnan would be a great Mr. Sinister, and yeah, I could buy that absolutely. Again, he might be starting to get into the slightly too old to be playing it part, but yeah. And I mentioned Apocalypse. Honestly, Apocalypse, he's going to be honestly. They'll probably do what they did with Evan Moss-Baccarat for the Thing, where. Fun fact, by the way, apparently we work on his cat in the PetSmart. Like someone brought his cat. So I offhandedly know him. I've got an in if you want to meet him. I know someone who worked on his cat through his cousin or something like that. But no, what they'll do is they'll have a suit and they'll CG over the fine details of the suit. Honestly, Oscar Isaac was a really good choice to play him too, and they just kind of messed that up. Also, Apocalypse is huge in stature. People want to put The Rock in there. It's like, no. any actor you put in there is not large enough to be him. If you've ever seen cosplayers walk around in those giant like suits for Apocalypse, oh no, yeah, no, he's huge. That's realistic to what he should be like normally without enlarging his size. So yeah, no, it doesn't work. But I mean, again, you need someone who can actually portray pathos but intimidation as well, like conviction. Anyway, I spent too long on this question. Number 4, do you think the Force is better than Ki in Dragon Ball than Ki, Dragon Ball version of it? Well, yeah, I know what you mean. The Force better than Ki. Overall, yes, but more people can use Ki than more people can use the Force. Well, that's actually not entirely true. More people can use the Force than Ki, but most people, Ki is one of those, even a low-level Ki user like a Roshi, and he would be arguably the weakest one apart from Chaozu, can blow up a planet. Very few Force users are actually strong enough to do that. So on raw power, Ki actually wins. But in terms of versatility, I'll take the Force any day. Are you going to play the new Resident Evil game? No, I'm not a Resident Evil fan, sadly. 6, have you watched Red vs. Blue? I've seen Death Battle do Red vs. Blue, but I've never actually watched it. But I've heard it's pretty funny. Favorite fast food restaurant? If we're talking fast food, Wendy's. Like McDonald's, I used to eat that as a kid all the time. Obviously, I haven't had Burger King in a while. I would be willing to, I will never go back and do a McDonald's. Just completely lost any sort of liking for McDonald's. But I haven't given Burger King a shot lately. So maybe because I know that our local Burger King's gone, but I know there's one like a town over. So maybe if I'm out in that area, I might give Burger King another shot at some point. But if you're going to ask me my favorite fast food just at the gate, it's Wendy's. Good quality food overall for a fast food restaurant. Yeah, they do a good job. Are you going to watch the new season of King of the Hill? Probably not, but not because I hate King of the Hill. I've honestly been watching it through clips and watching it through reviewers. I watch Shady Durags, who is the King of the Hill guy, as it's affectionately called. So I will probably watch a lot of those episodes through him. But unfortunately, no, I probably won't. Are you a fan of Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Absolutely, I love it. Why would you do this to us? Because you're crackheads, children. Now, who wants ice cream? Crack? Mass! I'm collecting mass! It's like, no, you have onset diabetes. But apart from that, I'm healthier than him, right? No. I haven't even watched a lot of the newer seasons. I fell off the newer seasons for a while. I need to get back on that. It's on our watch list, me and my girlfriend. Oh, I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm glad they still are going. 10. Will you watch The Boys last season when it comes out? Actually, even haven't started watching The Boys. I really should at some point. So if I start watching The Boys, I definitely will watch Boys season trailer. But yeah. Okay. Joshua Merriweather, 1 of 12. Okay. Hello, Clockwork. How are you doing? I hope you are doing great. I'm doing pretty well. Blessings to you and your family. Well, thank you for that. By the way, who let the dog out? I did. Anyway, questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on new upcoming movies, including their trailers? Zootopia 2, Tron Ares, Mortal Kombat 2, and Predator Badlands. There are more coming out. I'm assuming these are the ones you want me to talk about. The Zootopia 2, I really like the first Zootopia a lot. So Zootopia 2, I'm looking forward to. The trailer's fine. We need a more in-depth one about what the plot is going on. But yeah, we know it involves the snake for whatever reason. Tron Ares, hey, look, I actually like Tron Legacy a lot. Didn't do amazing, but I like it a lot. It's a good-looking trailer. I'm looking forward to it. Mortal Kombat 2, I am here for it. Carl Urban as Johnny Cage is the perfect casting, and that's a badass trailer. Get over here! Well, you don't have any powers. No, I'm just extremely good-looking. Yeah, just look good. And Predator Badlands, give me a Predator movie. I don't care how good or bad it ends up being. I will go see it, and that looks like a pretty badass trailer. Number 2, how do you feel about the first episode of Peacemaker Season 2 if you watched it? I have watched it. Oh, we liked it. We loved it. Me and my dad loved it. But you try sitting there with your father and then having John Cena do lines of coke, then have an orgy happen immediately after he gets up from doing the line, and a guy just waggling his dick in your face and then jerking off in the corner. Takes you a minute. but it's still great. It was great to see Guy and Hawkgirl and Maxwell Lord. It's just, we're seeing where they're kind of are. Hardcore, I'm interested to see where her story's going, because right now Hardcore is really her own worst enemy. She really is. I also like the fact that they apparently did hook up at least once. They were drunk, but they were like horny, and they were into each other, and they hooked up at least once. But now Hardcore, it's like, you suffer from toxic masculinity. You know I have a vagina, right? You don't need to have a dick for that to work. And also, like, they're still able to bring about like legit emotions when you see Peacemaker literally just break down in an alternate universe where he could have had a nice life. Like, seriously, that was legit. Like, so I'm here for the season. The new episode drops tonight. Me and Dad are probably watching it tomorrow. Probably. We'll see. Although I could just see a later showing of The Roses tonight, and then we can watch Peacemaker season 2. Maybe I'll do that. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Rick and Morty season 8? I'm only seeing it through clips yet. I haven't watched it in full yet. I also, because I think, didn't HBO Max take Cartoon Network off their service? And by the way, Cartoon Network's now like a paid service. What the fuck is that about? That is dumb as shit. So I haven't actually watched it yet. What's your favorite cupcake flavor? Oh, I don't know. That vanilla with, I don't know. I'll throw a random flavor. Oh, actually, you know what? Anything that's got like a nice buttercream kind of butterscotch flavor to it. I love butterscotch. Who do you think would be the best supervillain choice for James Gunn's Supergirl, Woman Tomorrow? Superman or Superman 2? Well, we know Lobo is in Supergirl. We know that for a fact. Jason Momoa is playing him. You knew the minute he came out doing that video, excited with James Gunn's like, you want to play Lobo? You're like, hell yeah. Because that man is literally almost the embodiment of Lobo. As for Superman 2, we know Lex will probably be in Superman 2, but they're almost certainly going to bring out one of Superman's other foes. The problem is you're not getting Darkseid. You know that. You're not getting Doomsday either. You know that. You're going to save that shit for later. You're saving Darkseid for later, guaranteed. Doomsday, if they decide to redo Doomsday, you got to wait until Superman has been established for a while in this universe so we can grow to love him, which a lot of people already love him. Brainiac is another one that could be a multi-story arc, but Brainiac is one that you could do in one movie. Mr. Mxyzptlk, but he's not really a villain. Other Kryptonians like Zod, but here's the thing: Zach's probably going to try and do his own thing. That's the problem. Ooh, who do I think they might do? They might do someone who's adjacent to Apocalypse to set up Apocalypse, like a Steppenwolf. No, they're not going to do Steppenwolf again. But like his son? But as the main villain? I mean, we could see Bizarro come into play. Because Ultraman fell into a black hole. He was a clone of Superman, which is what Bizarro's origin kind of is. Oh, that's a tough one. Or have someone who's kind of like a magic user who would be difficult for Superman to handle. I don't know. It's actually a good question. Right now, it's too early to tell. All right. What's your opinion on nostalgic cartoons returning this fall, such as OG Ben 10? I was unaware that they were returning this fall. Unfortunately, I will not be able to watch it because now Cartoon Network's a goddamn paid streaming service. Yeah. But good for them. I don't watch Cartoon Network really at all anymore, but... Are you ready for the finale, final season of My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer, the movie? I don't watch Demon Slayer, sorry, so I have no interest in that. My Hero Academia, I fell off watching the anime around... When did I fall off watching the anime? I want to say it was right around the joint training arc where the two classes were up against, Class A and B were up against each other. It's where I fell off the anime, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe I'm not saying I'm looking forward to it. I'm not saying I'm not looking forward to it. I just don't watch them anymore. Which anime movie villain has the best reason to be a villain? Which has the worst reason? Do you have a list? No. The worst reason? Believe it or not, Syndrome. I think Syndrome, as good of a villain as he is such a petty little shit. Actually, no, I'll take that back. Not Syndrome. Syndrome at least had a minor reason. Freaking Titan has the worst reason to be a villain. Because he's a terrible person to begin with. He really is. So yeah. But we're talking about animated movie villains? The best reason to become a villain? I'm just thinking of all the villains I can. Actually, you know what? Oh God. And the villain from Coco, he had the worst reason. He was just selfish. Like, just a selfish prick. A guy just wanted to leave and go back to his family. You still could have been a. That's the thing, too. There's actually no logical reason that he had to kill Hector in that movie. There isn't. Like, okay, he was going to go back. You still could have used the music, all the songs, all that. You just could have worked it out with him. Like, yeah, I still want to travel. Is it okay if I use the songs? Like, is that fine? Like, yeah, no, go ahead. I just want to be with my family. Like, that's all you had to fucking do. But you were so selfish and self-centered that no, fuck that. In terms of best reason to become the villain, it would have to be someone who's justifiably really, really fucked over. I'm like going through my head about villains people who became villains. Honestly, like legitimately, even though Oz the Great and Powerful isn't a very good movie, the Wicked Witch, Mila Kunis' Wicked Witch, actually had a very legit reason for becoming a bad guy. She was lied to by the wizard multiple times over. She was also kind of tricked by her sister. So yeah, no, she had a legit reason. That's a legit crash out on her part. Have you read OTR of the Flames? Nope. Got you? Nope. And Token? Nope. If not, I recommend them. Thank you. Which comic book villain is the most petty in live action or in animated form? Reverse Flash, Doctor Doom, Lex Luthor, or Darth Sidious? Okay, most petty? Darth Sidious really actually isn't that petty. He's actually very pragmatic. Lex Luthor, I still vote Lex Luthor's one of the pettier ones. Like, Reverse Flash, though, might be the most pettiest, because it's all about Barry. He literally went back and screwed over Barry's life just out of spite. That is pretty freaking petty. Doom actually isn't that petty. He's egotistical. He's a little narcissistic, and he's vain, but he's not petty. It's either Lex or Reverse Flash. I might say in live action, it's Lex. In animation or in comics, it's Reverse Flash, maybe. Do you think the acting cast of Wicked 2 will behave themselves before their film release? Are we talking about that dumb comment that Cynthia Rivos made? Because if so, we got to get over that bullshit. We really do. Even she acknowledged that she overreacted. So, now that being said, I have heard something about Ariana Grande kind of being like a homewrecker or something like that, or whatever. I get over and patting. Look, they should be fine. We over focus so much on other people's personal lives. We do. Now, granted, when you're doing press tours and all that, and you're on like stage or whatever, or like interviews, sure, you got to be a little mindful of what you're saying. But I think we put way too much stock in some of this stuff. So yeah, I think they'll be fine. And I'll also say Wicked 2 has a chance of being $1 billion film, given how much the first one did. What's a delayed project that you're happy has been delayed? Which one do you think shouldn't have been delayed? I'm not gonna lie. I don't think either Ballerina or Elio should have been delayed. Yeah, there was the writer strikes going on and actor strikes and some reworks for Elio, but I don't think either of those should have been delayed, really. Nor though I think it really should have been reworked for Elio. Because I think their placement where they opened up this year really freaking hurt them hard. Because they got delayed and the Alias trailers weren't very good, and Ballerina I think just got pushed back way too far. As for projects I'm glad got delayed, not many, but I will say if anything else, I am kind of happy that they are taking the time for Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. So if there's anything that's been delayed, that has been delayed, I am glad they're taking the time for that, because that's a big fucking movie. So if you're gonna delay something, delay the big fucking movie. Rivnet asks again, what's your favorite Dead Meat, aka Kill Count video? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? I couldn't ask you to answer that. I haven't watched them in a while. Sorry. Insane Makai. There we go. I almost disliked your comment, dude. Sorry. Insane Makai asks 1 to 7. Could you post a list of non-what if video requests you have sorted by type? One post lists all the requests for strongest character build. One list requires the Pokemon. Okay, I cannot do that because you're asking. One post lists all the requests for Pokemon. I can't do that. The fact is, there's too many requests in any one video suggestion. Particularly, I could not do who wins. I could not do who wins. I could not do Pokemon. I could not do Lantern Cores. The best I could do would be the character build. That's it. There's too many requests from most other videos for me to actually post a list. So no, sorry. Could you start doing Beyblade creation series or Yu-Gi-Oh deck building series? Beyblade deck and for Gohan or whatever? Probably not. Again, I like the idea. I appreciate you wanting more stuff. I'm not saying I won't do more stuff or try new stuff down the road, but the fact is, it's also well, I'm not monetized. I am still thinking of what people want to watch to some degree. And I don't know how many people want to see a Beyblade creation series or the Yu-Gi-Oh deck building one, maybe, but that's just me choosing a deck archetype and explaining why it works. That's not, frankly, an interesting video series to me. Any plans for a Marvel or DC what ifs? I've done several. You're talking about like the long-term one-shots? No, or sorry, long-term videos like I do on Saturday and Sunday? No, unless I'm inserting like Naruto or Dragon Ball or My Hero, which are your 3 big long-term series, into them, or bringing a Marvel or DC character into there. I'm not doing that for like for multi-parters, but I do one-shots for those series all the time. Could you start doing stand creation series? Again, it's a series I don't follow. I'm sorry. I'm not big onto JoJo. I'm just not. So probably not. And also that would be a really difficult one to figure out what the hell I would do for them. Because there is nothing in relation to the stands. Sorry, there's nothing about the stands that's in relation to the stand users. So I would literally just be, so I'm not adapting again abilities that work for them. Hell, I'm not even adapting something that works with their abilities. I would literally just be spitting in the dark on that. So no. Could you please do, what if insert random character to learn Paza, Hama, Spin, Deku, or Asta? Haman. I don't know what Spin is, and I don't know what Pazu is, but Haman? Yeah, I think I wrote that down. Could you please do what if insert random character trained in Windstorm Ninja? Wait, at Windstorm Ninja Academy? Probably not. I don't even know what that is. Could what if some what ifs you don't have to read, but if you don't want to do. Okay, so I've already read these, and I'm already going to tell you right now, I'm not doing any of them because they're series I don't do. I don't even know what these series are. You didn't really explain to me who, like, Bell, what if Bell had Chant Connection? I don't know who Bell is. So, and I'm not blaming you for this. I'm just saying you didn't explain it properly. So even if I had an interest in doing it, which frankly I don't, just because I don't know the series, I don't know who you're talking about. So sorry. James Riley, is figuring out how different power systems react to each other a headache sometimes, and can you give an example that you have a hard time figuring out? Occasionally. For example, when I did this solo leveling with Deku, trying to basically balance that power system with the My Hero world was a little taxing, because first off, the solo leveling only works within the dungeons. It only works within like the game system dungeons that work there. So trying to bring that into the real world was a little problematic, to say the least. So yeah, there are times where trying to just figure out figuring out chakra versus magic in like a magic anime series would be very difficult. But chakra kind of is just ninja magic on some level, but it's not. So it's like, ugh. All right then. Hello, fellow mortal. Is I, the hard to pronounce name, Kynereth the Demon, 9862. And it's got some questions for you. 1, if you could have a captain from Bleach be your parent, which one? That's an interesting one. It would probably be one of the more level-headed ones. Honestly, Shinsui or Ukitake probably would be the best parents. I mean, Urahara wouldn't be a bad parent, I think, but he'd also be a bit too much of a goofball. But yeah, those would probably be your 2 best parents. Also, you're also asking for parents, not just So, Unohana, when she's Unohana, not being Retsu. When she's being Retsu, not being Yajiro, probably would be a good mom. But seeing as we also get the upgrade, I'd say either Hisane, as a parent would probably be good. Although I imagine Yoruichi probably would be a legit good parent. So either way, honestly, I'd rather be the parent with Yoruichi, if you know what I'm saying. But 2, out of all anime, which is the bottom of your likeness? Which is on the bottom? Which one do I like the least? You mean out of all anime? Like, what's my least favorite anime right now? Ever? Period. Uh, I mean, there's anime I'm just not a fan of, or anime that I watched and like didn't really like get into. But I couldn't tell you what my least favorite anime is. I'll tell you this: I'm not huge on slice of life stuff. I'm also not huge on anime that kind of just shit on that gives us a very unlikable protagonist. Like I mean, like you can't root through them unlikable, but still makes us try to like them. So I don't know, but I couldn't tell you which one is at the bottom. Have you ever seen Dragon Ball Evolution? Fun fact, I have a vivid memory in high school of going to Dragon Ball Evolution with my 2 friends. We went to McDonald's to get a snack. They had like all these overly cooked fries. And so we got these, and I said, do you just want them? So we ended up going in with these giant bags of overcooked fries. They weren't like they weren't like burnt to crisp, but they were too like burnt to serve. So I'm just eating it and watching this piece of shit Dragon Ball Evolution. So yes, I have seen Dragon Ball Evolution. Could Kurama himself learn Sage Mode? I suppose in theory, but he's compatible with Sage Mode. We know that, so I guess it's possible. Do you want to build a snowman? Not right now. Team Iron Man or Team Captain America? Believe it or not, even though the movie basically even said, oh no, Captain America was right. If you're watching the movie, Tony makes the more valid points, honestly. Except for the whole, it passes the buck along thing from, like, there is definitely points Cap makes that he's right about. But if you actually watch it, and he's like, this passes the blame along, and Rhodey points out that's dangerously arrogant, Steve. And furthermore, Tony, like, they make a point where Steve goes off on his own to save Bucky, causes God knows how many thousands, if not hundreds of tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars of property damage, injures people, endangers civilians, all for this one thing that you're doing. Like, I'm sorry, like they had a legitimate point. And that's why that movie's so damn good. It's like both sides make like legitimate points about their arguments. So honestly, even though the way it came about and ultimately ended was not in the right, it was. I still might lean a little towards Tony. I think Tony didn't go about it the right way, but Tony made valid points. What's your favorite anime movie? I don't watch a lot of anime movies. Sorry. Although I will say, Dragon Ball Super Broly was pretty good. I know I'm a big Inuyasha fan, so I didn't watch their movies. I didn't watch the Pokemon movies growing up. I couldn't tell you, sorry. As always, thank you for being my favorite creator. Love a fellow weirdo. As always, we weirdos need to be one. Power to the 99 asks, if you had to make your own village in Naruto, what would it be called and what would it be about? It would probably be something along the lines of what I did with Naruto went Rogue, where it's kind of the village of outcasts coming together. But what would it be? The village hidden in the what? That's the question. The village hidden, not the village hidden in the mist, not the village. So there's the hidden in the stone, the mist, the leaves, the clouds, and which is technically kind of the same thing as mist, but not quite, and the sand. Okay. So what other concept? And then there's the hidden sound village. There's the village hidden in the grass. There's a hidden hot spring village hidden in the waterfall. So what other concepts could I do to create a hidden village? I mean, there's the idea of the village hidden in the valley. That's not a bad idea. Kind of do it like how we saw the Western Air Temple in Avatar, where it's like built into the valley. Sorry, I'm sitting in a certain position for too long. So there's that. There's also the village hidden in the star we saw in the anime. It would have to be something where like the village hidden in the I don't know honestly what I would like what the name of the village would be per se. I'd have to figure that out. But I mean, I suppose I could just reclaim what I did in the Rogue, reclaim Uzu, and then like reinforce it and all that, and the village hidden in the whirlpool again. But it would be the hidden rogue village. It would essentially be all the outcasts. That would more or less be what it is. Okay, Chris Dash's your original 8. Do you think Frieza and Magneto would ever work together because they are both evil mutants? No, because Magneto is actually going for a just cause. Frieza is a genocidal maniac. How would you think Zabuza? What would I think Zabuza's opinion of Shazam be? I don't think he'd have a very strong opinion of him. He doesn't have a strong opinion of anyone outside of gods. And Shazam is not actually a god. He just steals the power of it. If anything, he'd probably have a very not good opinion about him. What do I think Zabuza's opinion about Ghost Rider? He'd probably actually find him a threat. Ghost Rider's one of those guys who could definitely blitz the Dragon Ball world if they're not careful. What do I think Zabuza's opinion of Spawn would be? Probably similar, a threat. He'd probably find them amusing until he sees how powerful they actually are. What do I think Lex Luthor's opinion about the Fantastic Four and Franklin Richards would be? He probably wouldn't view them in the same light as Superman because he knows these guys got their powers in an accident. But it would probably be a Lex Luthor, a Dr. Doom scenario where he's jealous of Reed's intellect. And furthermore, he is wary of being as powerful as Franklin. So he probably would try to take Franklin at points. What do I think Lex Luthor's opinion of Dr. Doom and Dr. Octopus? Octopus, he's just a scientist. He thinks he's smarter than them. Doom and him, though, legit rivals. Like that would be a different type of Reed versus Doom conflict. Two individuals who think they're the smartest person on the planet and are going to try to prove it. So they would be clashing heads. What I would think My Hero Academia's Killer Stain's opinion of Captain America and Spider-Man would be. Also, what do I think his opinion of Superman and Flash? Superman, he'd have nothing but respect for. Flash probably would actually do the same. Honestly, all these guys, he'd actually probably have mad respect for. So there you go. Okay, there. All right, so then we got Just a Chicken. Before we start with the questions, I want to say that I enjoy your content. Appreciate that you interact so much with the community. Well, thank you. I like to try to make you guys a part of it. I like how you change your what ifs videos when someone points out something. Do birthday commissions and answer all the questions in the Q&A. Hey, again, I try. And again, I only really retcon a video when it's early on, and if people make good enough points, I'm like, you know what, that makes sense. But I appreciate your appreciating that. The one reason why I like your channel so much. All right, that's one of the reasons I like one of your channels. Okay, cool. All right, well, one of technically 6. Let's see here. Are you concerned for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars? Unlike Avengers Infinity War and Endgame set up by the countless films beforehand, Doomsday has not been set up nearly as well and has a much bigger cast. This leading for the movie to establish who the current Avengers are, establishing Dr. Doom, unlike Thanos, who appeared in multiple movies. Dr. Doom appeared in the post-credit scene for a few seconds, and so on. Okay, am I ultimately concerned? I guess it depends on what you mean by concerned. Because am I concerned that this movie's going to bomb? No. It's still an Avengers film. It's still going to be a high-profile film. It's still almost certainly going to make over $1 billion. Is it going to make $2 billion? I actually don't think it will. Could it still make like standard Avenger number, like anywhere between like 1.2 and 1? Well, technically lowest is 1.4, but 1.2 and like 1.6? Yeah, it could. But am I concerned about like the audience for Doomsday? I would be lying if I said it wasn't a little concerned. Like, you're not wrong. They haven't set up Doomsday anywhere near as well as they set up Endgame and Infinity War. They have fumbled the multiverse saga. I wouldn't say it's a complete and utter failure, but it is a fumble. It is 100% a fumble. They did not handle the multiverse right. Hell, Peacemaker, I heard someone put it best, and it's true. Peacemaker season 2 in one episode handled the multiverse better than the entirety of the multiverse saga. Because the problem with the multiverse saga is that most of the movies had nothing to do with the multiverse saga. Let's break it down real quick. Let's literally break it down real quick. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the multiverse saga starts, technically, Phase 4 starts with Black Widow. Nothing to do with the multiverse, okay? Then we got Shang-Chi. The rings might have something to do with the multiverse. I have a feeling they were trying to tie it to Kang. But not really. Eternals? Maybe the Celestials have something to do with the multiverse? Spider-Man did tie with the multiverse, and it actually did it well. It's one of the few ones. Doctor Strange did deal with the multiverse. Didn't really do it well, but it did better than at least some of the other films. But Thor didn't do anything that had nothing to do with the freaking bug. It had nothing to do with the multiverse. Black Widow, Black Panther, nothing to do with the multiverse. So I mean, right now we're at what? 2, maybe 3 films that have kind of touched on the multiverse in any significant way. Then you get into Ant-Man and Wasp. Sure, it tackled the multiverse. It failed miserably at it, but it did it. Guardians, nothing to do with the multiverse. The Marvels, yeah, it touched on the multiverse at the end, but it wasn't the best movie. And obviously, then you get Wolverine, X-Men, Deadpool, Wolverine, touched on the multiverse, definitely did. But and they are slowly dealing with, and they were kind of introducing ideas like incursions. You rebooted your reality, like, oh, that's great, but you're not explaining this concept well enough. And then Brave New World just said, oh yeah, other worlds are coming. We already know this. Thunderbolts did only the post-credit scene touched on the multiverse at the end, and only then really the Fantastic Four were coming into reality. And the Fantastic Four does touch on the multiverse. It does. But that nothing has been doing it in a very significant way. Enough that it's really building up effectively to something. Whereas Thanos and the Infinity Stones, we were building up effectively to it. So am I concerned in terms of people's interest in it? Yeah, I'd be honest. I'd not be lying. I said a little bit. Am I concerned of the overall quality of the film or what it could do? No, I am not. I do think it will still do well enough. Okay, number 2. What are your Dragon Ball and Naruto hot takes? Maybe that will make a good video unless you've already done it. Hot takes? I don't do hot take videos, but hot take videos. Do I have any hot takes? I don't really have a significant amount of hot takes, really. Although I guess you could make an argument that one hot take you could make is that Danzo's right to a certain degree. That the village did kind of grow a little weaker under Saratobi's second reign. But that would be the only hot take I could make, and even then, it's not like it grew like complacent per se. No, you know what? It's not even that it grew weaker. It grew complacent. I think that's what it did. What's your favorite Dragon Ball, Naruto, or Bleach arcs? And like the last question, maybe you can make a video listing your favorite arcs and suggestions. I could do an arc or a tier ranking video about the arcs of each series. My favorite arc in Dragon Ball, if we're just talking about the entire arcs, it is probably the overall Namek arc. It is. It's from when they get there to when Goku beats Frieza. That would probably be my favorite arc, because the problem is, like, Raditz arc is just, the Saiyan arc is good. I don't think it's great. The Android arc is messy and choppy. Then you go into the Cell games, which is not bad, but not great. It does have some great moments. The Boom arc is messy, but does have some great payoffs. And most of Super's arcs aren't that great. Some of them are good, but not that great. So I'd say that. In terms of Bleach, my favorite arc is still the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. 100% still the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. Even though the ending was certainly rushed, they're making up for it with the anime in spades. Like, this is what the actual arc should have looked like. So definitely, I'd say the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. But as a runner-up, I would say probably, do I go the Arrancar? No, actually, I'd probably go the fake Kuritan arc, not the Arrancar arc. And then in Naruto, oh god, as a whole, overall, maybe the Chunin exams is a hard, like the full Chunin exams, not the Konoha Crush. Well, I mean, that technically it's the Konoha Crush arc, but technically those combined into 2 arcs, so it might be that one. But if I go lean into Shippuden, it's the Invasion of Pain. So there's your answers there. What got you into Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Bleach? Well, Dragon Ball was on TV growing up, and so was Naruto. Bleach, though, I'll admit, Bleach I had to get into through the manga, and I didn't even start watching it or reading it until midway through the fake Kuratown arc. And then I just got sold. Then I had to rewatch everything. I'm like, damn, this thing's good. So yeah. What got you? Oh, and what is the origin of your new username? Mark and I just thought up of Clockwork Highlander. Thank you for answering my questions. Hope you have a good day, but you did have one other one. Forgot this last part. May I ask for a Lantern Corps video for my birthday for Shigaraki? Unless you've already done it. I have not, and I did put that down, so thank you. Okay, Diego Lorente. Okay, question on: would you rather have Gregory House as your partner or Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends as a partner, or even Rigby from Regular Show? Which would you rather have? What do you mean by partner? That's the problem. You're not specifying what these guys are partnering for. Like an exam? Solving a crime? Getting chicks? What? Believe it or not, I'd probably lean more towards House, even though he is an ass. Because in the show, we all love watching him, but in reality, he probably is an ass to deal with. But still, his intelligence kind of puts him above the other two. What's your favorite season episode of the X-Files? I don't really watch the X-Files, sorry. Give me your best or two or worst. I don't watch them, sorry. And the number 13, last one. What's your favorite Magic Gathering card or weirdest card ever? My one single favorite Magic the Gathering card out of the thousands that have been printed from God knows how many sets. I couldn't tell you really what my favorite card is. That is a really big question. There's like one single solitary card. I don't know if I could give you an answer to that, unfortunately. I could tell you my favorite colors to play Magic are green and blue. So, I mean, there's that. But, I mean, I don't really have a single favorite card. Sorry. What's my opinion about Coldplay? What's my opinion about Radiohead? They're fine. Question 3, what's your favorite epic rap battle in history? I mean, it's hard to top the Darth Vader versus Hitler battles. Those are hard to top. If epic rap battles in history, epic rap battles in history, you thanks Peter or Epic Lloyd ever tried to contact you as a guest, which character or real fictional, historical, fictional character would I play? Okay, so what would I play for an epic rap battle of history? That's a very good question. I never thought about that. It would have to be someone I'd admittedly be able to kind of look like on some level. Like that's the thing. You do have to at least kind of. I mean, they'd put me in makeup and all that stuff, but that's a good question. Someone who hasn't been on there, or someone who would like be on there again, is another question. I really don't have an answer. I never even thought about that. You would have been a great J.J. Abrams or R.L. Stein. That's not bad. You know what? James Gunn. Make me James Gunn. There you go. There are two opinions. These are my two opinions. If I ever they're never going to get in touch with me. But thanks for that. I have not watched K-pop Demon Hunter. Could I survive the Saw movies? In theory, but I also would probably just throw him for a loop. Because it's like, I'm now doing a nerve gas. You have this much to live. It's like, nope. Like, what? It's like, nope. It's like, no, I'm not going to. I'll just sit here and die, thanks. I had a good life. I didn't do anything wrong. And if anything, I appreciated the life I had. So if anything, you fucked up. So that would basically be, I would literally just throw the mind games back at him. And maybe even make him feel like terror. First off, trust me, I valued life. I value my life, the life I had, the life I have with other people. So I would not be the person he'd want to be bringing in there. But also, like, even if he did bring me in there, I don't really give a shit. Like, look, without going into too much philosophical death, I don't really have a great fear of death. I have no interest in dying, but I don't have a great fear of it. So if he does this and I'm like, don't have a really strong guarantee of living, I'm like, no, fuck it. All right. Well, this is the way it's going to go. And then you can have the conscience of killing an innocent man on your own. You're not innocent. Really? What did I do? You did not value your life. How? And it's like, you did that. I'm sorry. Have you been following me every waking moment of every single day? Yeah, no. That's not how it works. Okay, number 7. Who's the worst? Lucifer Supernatural or Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls?
Bill Cipher. He's a threat to the multiverse. I mean, Lucifer technically is too, but more to the point, you can actually negotiate with Lucifer. And Lucifer even did have Chains of Hearts at that point too, like at least at points in the series. Question 8, which horror movie or horror TV show or non-horror media that scared you the most? For me, it was the tunnel scene in Willy Wonka. I guess you're asking what scared me the most in horror movie, TV show, or whatever. I remember as a kid walking through the store with my dad in Kmart, I think it was. The TVs in the electronics section were on. They were playing Jurassic Park, and then the Raptor came out of there, and in the supply closet or the supply bunker or whatever it is when she was turning the power on. And I remember that freaking me the hell out. So I remember that. Have you ever watched Tales from the Crypt or Twilight Zone? Twilight Zone, yes. Tales from the Crypt, only a handful of times. 10. Who is better? A better band? Pink Floyd, AC/DC, Metallica, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses. Okay, you did not throw Led Zeppelin in there, so that does change things. The better band, in terms of what songs theirs I like the least and what songs theirs I like the most, and then how's that play out? I would. Who is the most popular? It's probably the Beatles, followed by Guns N' Roses, then probably Metallica, and then AC/DC and Pink Floyd, weirdly enough. Who is the best band? See, when I think best band, I think of who, like, the variety of songs you're capable of doing. Like, can you do a ballad versus, like, a rock anthem or something like that? If that is the case, too, it's either, weirdly enough, Guns N' Roses or Metallica. But if you're going to ask me what I personally think is the best music, I'll listen to the most, probably Pink Floyd. And last, question 11, what is the most eatable, in your opinion? So who is the most eatable in your opinion? Who is the most eatable? If I'm a cannibal, William Afton or the Joker from Batman? What kind of, like, seriously, you're asking me to be a cannibal in this question. Unless that was supposed to be most beatable, in which case you missed the B at the beginning. But to answer both your questions, the most beatable, William Afton. He's still just pretty much a normal guy. He's just a serial killer. Who's the most eatable? Also William Afton, because Joker oftentimes his origin involves him falling in a vat of chemicals. I don't want to eat that shit. Okay, thanks for the questions. Zep-E5. Oh, what country and state do you live in? I live in Massachusetts, USA. Clark Kent, one of 15. Man, this is normally I like to try to keep these under 2 hours. We're getting close to the 2 hour mark. Daily Planet exclusive. Hello there, Clark Kent. If you don't mind, I'd love to take a little bit more of your time for a few questions, because there is less of an interrogation and more of a conversation. One admirer of great stories to another. Well, thank you. I wasn't considering an interrogation to begin with. It's weird that you brought that up, Clark. I'm now confused. There's always buzz about when a new Bath battle is announced. Which upcoming clash has you personally most eager to see unfold? From the ones I still know are coming. That is a good question, actually. Why is this suddenly playing? I have no idea. Okay. Seriously, stop auto-playing, whatever. The Ash versus Yugi one, I am very interested in. I'm very intrigued how they're going to handle that. So there is that one. Because I've noticed, too, even though they did announce, with each tier when they first came back, it was like, you'll be getting 2 death battles, including this one. So there's one we didn't know about. Or 2 death battles and 4 death battles, including 2 of these. 2 we didn't know about. But I've noticed lately, since around the, what was it? Where was it around? Actually, pretty early on. I might even be all the way to, crap. What was it? Among Us versus the other ones. I can't remember what it was called. That was one of the only ones I remember where I'm like, oh, I didn't know this one. So far, they're going through all the ones they announced. Although Miles versus Deku was one that they had. Okay, that was one. They did Miles versus Deku, what hadn't been announced. But yeah, they're doing a lot of the announced ones so far. By the way, that Hulk versus Godzilla one was pretty badass. Judge Dredd is a figure that embodies law without compromise. If he dropped in the world of VOT International, could he bring their soups under control, or if need be, stop them for good? He doesn't know because he doesn't have the actual power to do it. Like Judge Dredd is not a superhuman. He just has a very powerful weapon, and Homelander we know can survive up to like things like nuclear weapons. So no, he couldn't do it. Every critic has their hammer, but not every film deserves the nail. Are the movies planned by are there movie plans by reviewers that you movies planned by reviewers that you still find yourself enjoying? Wait, I'm sorry, what? Planned by reviewers. Sorry, not planned. Panned by reviewers that you find yourself enjoying? Oh, absolutely. There are movies that not a lot of people like that I really enjoy. I unabashedly actually have a lot of fun with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I own that movie on disc. It's not a very good movie, but I still enjoy it. The Super Mario Brothers movie, the live action one, the good one. No, but I actually have a lot of fun. That's a fun bad movie. So yeah, absolutely there are movies that most of the DC are like Batman versus Superman. I like that movie. A lot of critics didn't. So absolutely, there are movies that are panned that I still enjoy. We've seen the Lantern Corps embody hope, rage, fear, and more. But tell me, do you think spite could ever hold a ring of its own? See, spite is connected to hate, and hate is connected to anger. But the problem is, hate is one of those emotions that I'm not sure if it's directly the same as anger. There was the question earlier about obsession. Obsession is directly connected to the Lanterns of Love. But I don't know if hate is. Actual hate. I have to assume it is because it is still controlled by anger and therefore rage. So no, I don't think spite could. Just as I feel like disgust being a Lantern Corps, which apparently isn't one of the newer Lantern Corps allegedly coming about. Same principle as the Gray Lanterns of sorrow or apathy. I don't know if disgust really works because that still works towards anger. So I'm not exactly sure if that's the correct. Dr. Doom or Sosuke Aizen, two men who live behind carefully constructed masks. If crossed paths, would Dr. Doom see through the illusions or might even be deceived? Okay, so you're just asking if he could be affected by the illusions. He'd have to be aware if. Okay, so he's at Dr. Doom at his peak is skilled enough sorcerer that he could probably undo the illusions. But would he notice the illusions to begin with? Could he see through the illusions? See through them, no. But using enough magic to counteract that, probably. Though, to be fair, unless we're using God Emperor Doom, Sosuke Aizen does scale way above Doom in terms of power. Like, way above him. Even lowballing him, he is multiplanetary in terms of power. Honestly, he's most likely stronger as he is comparable to the Soul King in terms of power. And that's the guy who holds three different levels of reality, three-dimensional realities together, which are arguably three different universes. So if he's comparable to that on a power scaling level, Doom would struggle with Aizen hard. Not to say Doom would lose outright, because Doom has gone up against powerful individuals, but still. Tony Stark has hacked into weapons systems and alien technology mid-crisis. Do you think he could infiltrate, program the androids 17 or 18 while fighting them head-on? Actually, probably no, because they're not androids. Despite their names, they're cyborgs. They're not androids. 18 and 17 both have kids. That's biological function. They are both cyborgs, not androids. And even though they are definitely been remodeled, they're not. I don't think they're the kind of tech that Tony can just immediately hack, assuming he figures out they're androids or cybernetic. Here's one for you. Here's one for the strategist in you. Zeech versus Yoba both rewrite fate, both twist inevitability. If two collide, which one comes up on top? Or would the fight unravel into something no one would? Okay, first off, I gotta look up who that is. Give me 1 second, because I don't know who that is. Meanwhile, well, I won't answer that question. Okay, Zeech. Who the hell is this guy? Zeech. Warhammer? Is that who it is? Okay, it's Warhammer, which already means the scaling is possibly going to get chaotic. I am going to probably have something to say about Warhammer in a little bit. Okay. Because it's all about scaling. It's exactly what it comes down to. It is all about scaling when it comes to abilities. Okay. Zeech known as the Changer of Ways, Lord of Change, Lord of Sorcery, Lord of Entropy, Lord of Great, blah, 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 blah. And other titles, Chaos God of Change, Evolution, Mutation, Intrigue, blah, 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 blah. True power, sorcery, and all the flows. All right, let me actually get some powers and abilities here for him. Okay. See, all these desires are becomes. Siege is not content with merely observing the fundamental passage. He has his own plans. Schemes are so complex and closely woven that they touch the lives. Siege is aware of the visions and plans of all mortals in the galaxies. He takes great delight in plotting and politicking others and favors and cutting straw. When the inner voice in a person's head speaks, this whisper, that's him. He perceives every event in attention, and from his information, his mighty mind can work out how each will influence the future. The intertwining interlaced probability of hope and change is his meat and drink. Without it, he would eventually fade away. Perhaps the archetype of fate, stone over. Okay. By offering the power of knowledge and sorcery, he can recruit, influence, chaos, warfare. Okay, so everything I'm seeing here, psychic magic, ultimate faith, is that he can basically see everyone's plan. Okay, moral creature, immeasurable steeps, how he wages power. He needs to manipulate and control, desire to increase his own power. Power of the warp means he can eternally make the great game wage against his brother, the chaos gods. Okay, secret number 9, typically the god. Okay, what was that again? That he, perhaps the archetype of fate has plans to overthrow other chaos gods that intend to dominate him. So let's see, the power offering by power knowledge. What was it again? He said he's aware of the visions and plans of all mortals in the galaxy. Okay, so I need to be sure about one thing here before I give you a final answer. Is that does he have causality manipulation by affecting future events before they happen? Because there's a difference between being able to see everyone's path and planning accordingly for it, and being able to directly manipulate the actuality of, causality, actuality in an instant and make sure just things don't automatically happen. Like, he still would have to put things in. Does he still have to put things in motion to make sure that the plans of mortals don't happen, or is he able to just automatically affect it? That's the thing. I'm sure Mark here, if Mark were here, he'd be able to tell you, because he's the one who's got more Warcraft lore knowledge than I do. Okay, and now I hate when these sites do this. Okay, go away. All right, because right now, if you're gonna give me the question of who, screw it. Who would probably, it's not about strategists at all. It's about who could twist fate and inevitability better. If you're going to give the question without giving me the full answer and the full tools to answer it, I'd say Yuaba, because he can literally change the future on a whim, on a dime. He can just rewrite it to whatever he wants. Tzeentch, though, at least from the description I just got, he can see everything. He just plots plots to stop everything. He doesn't immediately change the future to what he wants. He does have to be proactive on some level for it. Now, I could be dead wrong on that, to be fair, so let me know. A lighter one. This might be odd, but I've always wondered, are you Irish? I am Irish. I'm about at least 50% Irish. Gotham City streets are notorious for corruption and crime. How, out of a long list of law enforcers, RoboCop, Columbo, McClane, even Inspector Gadget, who do you think could actually clean it up? Probably RoboCop. Columbo's just a detective. McClane's just a cop. Inspector Gadget is very incompetent. RoboCop could probably clean up a lot of the street. Nostalgia is powerful, but so is reinvention. Which classic TV show, if remade with today's technology, could truly shine again? Classic TV show? Provided you obviously have a good script. It's a good question. I'm stretching. Sorry. Oh, that came out of nowhere. Like, I started being like, oh, okay, let me see here. And then like, oh my God. A classic TV series with new today's effects. That's a good question. A damn good question. Something that was probably a low-level sci-fi show could probably benefit more with today's technology. I don't know exactly what it would be. Some films age poorly, others mature beautifully. Which older films do you believe have aged like fine wine? Honestly, a lot of films like, say, Citizen Kane still aged well. honestly, a few months back we watched League of Extraordinary, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That still aged really well. A lot of the Bonds haven't aged the best, but they are still fun. But like Silence of the Lambs still age great. So there's a lot of films that have aged pretty well. The Simpsons have made more than a few eerie, accurate predictions. Which one still surprised you most? Probably Donald Trump becoming president, let's be honest. Television has given us cops who are noble, flawed, brilliant, and downright absurd. In your opinion, who stands out as the greatest fictional officer of all time? From television? Oh, I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately. Columbo's probably good, though. And let's end on politics. Politics. Fictional politics, at least. From President Bartel to Leslie Knope, from David Palmer to Claire Underwood, if these leaders stepped into a re-election, whose name would you check on the ballot? Probably Leslie Knope. And if nothing else, is because Leslie Knope, despite the fact she actually has not aged the best as a character, you want to talk about things aging like fine wine, but and others that don't. Leslie Knope's character actually has not aged the best. Blind optimism in the system is not a healthy mentality. Obviously, we saw that her love for Biden probably was misplaced, but her passion and her actual love for government and what it's supposed to be does mean I wouldn't probably check my vote off the ballot for her. Also, that doesn't help that I don't really know who the other two of these guys are, or four of these are. Thanks for humoring me with these questions for my readers, fans, and fascinating answers. Okay, then. Queasy Music. Do you plan to include more series for What Ifs besides Yu-Gi-Oh!, Naruto, Dragon Ball, and My Hero? Do you plan to Ichigo Quincy Hollow Powers as a part of his Zanpakuto, if you plan to at some point? I've done other series. I've done Bleach series before. So, I mean, sure. I mean, these are, let me be very clear. The Naruto, Dragon Ball, and probably the My Hero are your bare bones, the things that keep the What Ifs going, because those are like just the most popular series, absolutely. But like out there to like keep going back to. But overall, yeah, no, I'm sure I'll throw some things in now and then. And a What If suggestion: what if Naruto had curse techniques? Deku had Gojo's curse techniques. I mean, yeah, those are all written down. You're good. All right, Rivet. One more time and some more questions. Who is the most pure evil in your opinion, the Joker from Batman or Light Yagami? Again, it's the Joker. He's evil for evil's sake. Although, I'll backtrack. Light Yagami thinks he's the hero of his story. That is arguably a more evil stance to have when you think you're justified in your actions. So actually, yeah, Light Yagami is actually the more evil. Question number 2. What objects class would Jack Skellington, Oogie Boogie, and Sally be if they are SCPs? Probably safe. You could easily contain them, to be honest. Number 3. Have you heard about the Roblox drama happening? No, I have not. Sorry. Number 4. What's your honest opinion about separating the art from the artist? Artists who did some terrible stuff. For example, Kevin Spacey, Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, even though Cosby and Diddy and R. Kelly. Okay, so I think it really does come down to the severity of the crime. Kevin Spacey is one of those examples of one where, that was a lot of stories that got brought up, I've heard stories that he is kind of like a predatory guy. He is a bit of a jackass, but a lot of those things he did, that never went to court. Like a lot of those things, the cases were dropped later on. Now maybe there was some intimidation involved or something like that. I don't know, but Kevin Spacey is one of those guys I can watch his stuff and not have a real problem with. Woody Allen, to be honest, it's happened so long ago. Yeah, is he a creep for it? 100%. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't even like a lot of Woody Allen stuff to begin with, so I'm really not that turned off by him. Roman Polanski can go, if Roman Polanski ever has the balls, I think he's still alive, to step back in the States, cuff his ass immediately. Cosby, it was one of those other guys too, unfortunately, where I'm like, oh, see, it wasn't just assault. It was, I'm gonna make you pass out and then assault you. That's fucked up. And R. Kelly and Diddy, yeah, no, underage kids, all that. Again, Woody Allen was underage kids too. Kevin Spacey allegedly, again, a lot of that stuff got thrown out. So Kevin Spacey's the one I can give a pass to. I don't listen to P. Diddy or all that. I can still listen to Fly Like an Eagle and I Believe I Can Fly. I just don't associate that with him. But yeah, no, screw those guys. Screw those guys. Fire. Do you think how aliens react to the Death Note anime? Wait, how will aliens react to the Death Note anime, and could the Death Note kill some aliens? Are you saying if aliens existed in the Death Note series? Is that what you're saying? Because I don't think that works. I think the Death Note only works on humans. But yeah. 6, have you heard about them rebooting Scary Movie 6? Okay, no, that's not a reboot, as far as I know, that because rebooting would be just redoing Scary Movie. No, they're doing Scary Movie 6. That's a sequel. So just, yeah, I've heard about that. They fell off around 4 for me. I actually like 1 through 3. 3 is the weakest, the second is the best, and the first is just a kind of classic. Would I rather be an X-Men or a Power Ranger? That's a good question, actually. I probably would rather be an X-Man, I guess, just because it depends on what my mutant power is, but who knows? That's a laundry list of mutant powers you could have. Question A, do you think you're real, like Jurassic Park? Oh, do I think a real Jurassic Park scenario will ever happen, like in the next 20 to 30 years? Well, next 20, 30 years, I'm going to be in my 50s and going on my 70s, so who knows? But we have a T-Rex. Look, science is advancing all the time, not at the rate it should. We have so much petty squabbles going in our world today, and so much people like slowing down progress. And I don't mean that in the sense like there's people slowing down genetic progress. No, I mean like stupid political asshats who are self-centered and just want the world to stay the same, slowing down progress. Like as much as we progress now, we are still a snail's crawl compared to where we could be right now. Anything's possible. Personally, I don't see it. There just is no real... Unless we figure out a way to really restructure the genome of animals that have evolved from prehistoric creatures instead of trying to clone them. Like, you're probably never cloning a dinosaur. There just isn't any solid enough DNA to do that with. But with, like, prehistoric animals like, say, the saber-toothed tiger, the woolly mammoth, all that, you, in theory, could still do that. It just wouldn't be a Jurassic Park, per se. Question 9, last question. What's your opinion about the year 2005? Who's the better? I mean, you still had another question, by the way. Who's the better person, Dr. Seuss or R.L. Stine? You're a better person. I don't know about them personally, so I couldn't tell you. But who do I enjoy more? I probably actually enjoyed R.L. Stine more, although Dr. Seuss has got some great lessons in it. But what do I think about the year 2022? Sorry, I keep saying 20 because we're in the 2020s now. 2005? That would have been the year I would have been in... Graduated 08, so I would have been about 15 going on 16. 14 going on 15, I think. It was fine. We had some decent movies come out. Not much I can say about that. How to Google... I can't... How to Google... You're going to have to really learn to get your grammar straight, because I can't read a lot of the stuff you say. I can get the gist, but I'm not going to read it because that's not a question. Diego Lorente has a few last ones. What's your favorite Ozzy Osbourne song? I think you meant and Hulk Hogan movie, not in a Hulk Hogan movie. Ozzy Osbourne song? I mean, Crazy Train, that's great, but Going Through Changes, I got a special spot for that one. I'm going through changes. I mean, you also got to love War Pigs. And obviously Iron Man, but no, those would probably be two of my favorites. Hulk Hogan movie? Would you want a Hulk Hogan movie or a movie Hulk Hogan is in? I guess Suburban Commando is one of his least shitty ones, because Hulk Hogan was not a good actor. Yeah, and yes, obviously I heard the news about both of them dying. It's very sad. But, Ozzy still went out like a boss, got to do one final tour on a throne, no less. So, you know what? God bless you, man. Or Satan bless you, whatever you prefer. Please tell me what your favorite Black Sabbath... You meant Black Sabbath. Black Savage? And Hulk Hogan move? I was not a wrestling fan, so sorry about that. Do you like Charlie XCX music? I barely have heard anything from her, so yeah. Are you of European ancestry and origin? Yes, I am. Mostly. All right, then. Let's see. How many do I got left? I still got quite a few left. But I'm getting near the end. In fact, I'm going to go down now. Geo Knuckles. I have been using Google AI to find the best fits or Digimon partners for gun to build fighters and drivers, like popular choices. Say and I'm not going to go through this entire thing. You found these guys. What do you think? Look, by the way, I have no problem with anyone using AI for certain things. Just so long as you use it responsibly and you don't take work away from someone else. That's the biggest issue I have. Train people to use AI effectively, if anything else. How do Google also ask, have I been to India? No, I have not. Thomas Butterfield, do you think there's a big difference in the Harry Potter, the Wizarding World, if it was in DC or Marvel Universe? Would the League or the Avengers get involved? And how the F would it be if Spectre or Ghost Rider for what a Moonlight Walk? Guys, you got to really work on grammar sometimes, because this feels like a run-on sentence, and I'm not quite sure what you're asking in that last one. But in terms of if the Harry Potter Wizarding World exists in as it does in Harry Potter in the Marvel or DC universe, honestly, it probably really wouldn't be that big of a. The League probably wouldn't get involved very much. Neither would the Avengers. Their scuffles aren't usually that big to warrant a big group coming in. Even with Voldemort going after, say, Hogwarts, it really wasn't all that huge. So yeah, but I mean, that's not to say magic users in Marvel wouldn't get involved. Doctor Strange would certainly get involved, but otherwise, no, not quite. Pedro Silva Lamina. Hi, Brent. What is your job? I already said I'm a dog washer at PetSmart. And are you still in contact with Sam and Mark from the very first video? Sam, no. Mark, yes. Mark and Sam broke up years ago. Mark is with someone else, ironically named Sam. But no, Mark, I stayed in touch with Sam for a few more years, but then lives get different and busy, and so I'm sure she's doing fine. I wish her well. I know she has a kid, but Mark is still I saw Mark Sunday. We had a fire at my girlfriend's house. Now, I don't know if Mark will ever be coming back onto the channel, at least not anytime soon. Even if he does, at best it would probably be for just reviews, joining me for those instead of doing who would wins, debates or whatever. And honestly, for Mark's sake, I really probably wouldn't want him to, because I don't think Mark really knows how to argue in a versus debate. We had a discussion, and I brought up the fact that someone had talked to me about the Sentinel Knights versus the Imperium of Man. And he immediately said, the Imperium of Man. No, I agree with you. And I agreed. And then he went on and talked about how 40K and all that works. And I know the floor of 40K is wacky, and you've got some decent scaling. And then he made a comment where it's yeah, no, the Tyrians, it's like a giant swarm of Beeruses. I'm like, really? And so I'm like, and I didn't question anything about that. But in my head, I'm like, I need to Google that. And so I Googled the Tyrianids. And while they are a galaxy-threatening swarm of chaos, Mark's talking out his ass. Mark is talking from a love of his fandom. He's not talking from a versus, an actual trying to legitimately verse and scale and compare debate. He's talking from the love of his fandom. And that's fine. I do that occasionally too. But when I do it, I still try to at least justify my answer. March is like, no. Because I think I was I don't know how long Goku lasts. Goku wouldn't last in that universe. I'm sure there are multiversal individuals in that universe, but Goku, you do realize Goku's a multiversal level individual, right? I didn't say that, but I really think he doesn't know how to argue a proper versus argument. So for his own benefit, I would not want to be in a versus video. Okay, then. Rivet asked one more question. And we're down to our last few here, thank God. Because my voice is starting to go, and I still got 2 more videos to do. Technically 3. Do you think Pennywise's deadlights could have... Who among this list of characters do I think could be affected by the deadlights? Powerpuff Girls. They're not human, technically, so no. And they deal with things like him all the time. Dexter. Yeah, that would work on him. Johnny Bravo. Gumball. Watterson. And Johnny Bravo. Gumball. Watterson. Gumball, because of Toon Force, might not be affected. He's also not human. Johnny Bravo probably would be affected. Finn and Jake. Finn would be affected, although he's dealt with Cosmic Core, so maybe not. Jake would not be affected. Mordecai and Rigby should be fine. Mojo Jojo, it's got the intelligence of a human, but he could be affected. Weasel and Baboon Baboon's, I think, too stupid, frankly. Cow and Chicken, again, maybe not, too stupid. All 5 members of Codenames Kids Next Door, yeah, no, they'd be affected. They're just kids. Courage, no, he's dealt with cosmic threats. He should be fine. Mac and Boo, Boo's imaginary, Mac's not, so Mac would be affected, Boo's not. Billy and Mandy, they have literally Grimm on their side. They'd be fine. Although there is cosmic level horror in there that has actually scared the shit out of them, so maybe not. Dipper and Mabel Pines, they've dealt with Bill. They're fine. Ed, Ed and Eddie, they'd be affected. Samurai Jack's dealt with Aku. I think he'd be fine. Shrek, maybe? That's a weird one. Popeye, no, he'd be fine. Sam and Dean, yeah, by the way, did you list cartoon characters? No, you just listed who would be affected by it. I know they're not cartoon characters. That's fine. Sam and Dean. Yes, actually, they would be. Because they've been affected by much weaker individuals before. Ben Tennyson, if Ben transforms before the deadlights go off, no, I don't think so. But if he's not transformed, maybe. But then the Omnitrix might just turn him into something to protect him against Pennywise. Jimmy Neutron, yes. SpongeBob, probably not. Timmy Turner, yes. Yeah, so yeah. Danny Phantom, his ghost self might be safe. And Doug Funny, yes. Geo Knuckles, have you seen the new Digimon beat breaks? I've seen a little bit about that, but I haven't actually watched. I haven't watched new Digimon forever. Okay, we're in the last bit now. Egotistical Ghost asks, does pineapple go on pizza? Not my pizza, but if you like pineapple on pizza, I won't judge you for it. Diego Lorente, how did you come up with a new YouTube channel name idea? That was just something me and Mark created. Mark is very much, me and Mark both have Scottish heritage. Mark wears a kilt from time to time. He is very much, the idea of clockwork Highlander. So we wanted something kind of unique. Finally, Logan Stone asked the question. Asked one of, I think it's 12, all right, the last 12. It's always a pleasure to engage in meaningful conversation, and I hope the question I bring to the table are both original and thought-provoking. With that said, allow me to forego further pleasantries and dive straight into the heart of the matter. Hulk versus Yuaba, the Green Door versus Almighty. Now, I don't believe I wrote these down, any of these verses, because this is right. So, yeah, you're basically asking, the question is, could Yuaba's manipulation of the futures deny Hulk's resurrection, or the Hulk, and by any extension Bruce Banner's intellect, find a way to understand the Almighty's design? Okay, before the Godzilla versus Hulk fight, I would have said Yuaba, that's a sweep, even with Hulk having the raw power advantage. But that video, that whole, what Bruce Banner was able to do does give me pause. But there's a difference between just causality manipulation with what Godzilla Ultima was doing, and literal causality manipulation and future manipulation. Literally, it actually wouldn't matter here about him having something to nullify Yuaba. Yuaba would literally see the future where Bruce made this, because he sees infinite futures. Sees the future where he made this, and just, it breaks. Like, that's the problem with going up against Yuaba, is that he can literally just change the future on a whim. Hulk is powerful, and he's powerful. Like, a raw power scale, multiverse scale, like, he is stronger than Yuaba. I'm not arguing that. This is going to my whole, me loving a fandom, but also understanding where limitations lie. Hulk does not have an answer for that. And in fact, there is an argument to be made that there's future scenarios where Hulk just loses his powers. Like, he reverts back to Bruce Banner, and Yuaba just steals the power of the Hulk from him, because Yuaba can do that. And then if it's too much, he just weighs with the Hulk, in theory. So, yeah, no, unfortunately, the Almighty is stronger than Godzilla's causality manipulation. So, yeah, no, I'm going with Yuaba on that. Hulk versus Beerus. Might the Incredible Hulk and his boundless fury be the force that compels Beerus, God Destruction, to abandon his restraint? Beerus yet to show the full depths of his destruction. Okay, so because we do have that scaling, thanks to Death Battle for Goku and the universe and all that, and how strong he was for Superman, Beerus being stronger than, and we know Beerus is still in fact stronger than Goku, that's confirmed. Is he strong enough to beat the Hulk? That's a very good question, because the Dragon Ball multiverse is a little different than, say, the Marvel multiverse, certainly. I will say this, though. I will say this. again, again, because it comes down to how, as they put it, the Hulk, and this was basically, I think, the reason he lost his fight with Broly until the Green Door thing became more well known, and the Red Door thing became well known, because Hulk can't escalate his power in the same way that people with transformations or just holding back their raw power can. His power is just increases gradually, and it can jump, sure, but it's not the same. And because of that, Beerus has also the ability to erase existence, not just destroy. That's the difference. See, that's the one thing that Hulk does not have an effective counter for, is existence erasure. He can survive death, but surviving his own existence being erased is a different thing. And that's what Hakai does. So it would be a knockdown, bare knuckle fight. And in theory, Hulk can conceivably get stronger than Beerus. But if we're talking about Beerus throwing all caution to wind, going all out, given the scaling death battle game for Goku against Superman, also having the fact that Beerus does also have Ultra Instinct, plus he has Ultra Ego, and he has freaking Hakai, I'd be leaning more towards Beerus in that fight. But that is just my opinion. The sci-fi resistant or Renaissance. Which classic sci-fi science fiction television series, long confined to limitations of their era, would most benefit from modern wonders, technology, and storytelling? Imagine pioneering visions of the past reborn. I mean, the original Star Trek could do it. I think I was already asked this question, but of any TV show, but specifically sci-fi. The original Star Trek and a lot of the original Doctor Who's could definitely benefit from it. Maybe something like V could definitely benefit from it. But I don't know. That would be my thought. Galactus is a god of destruction. Well, Galactus, sorry. Would Galactus not embody the very spirit of a god of destruction more perfectly than Beerus? Unlike the drowsy feline deity, Galactus does not need to slumber. He merely exists to sustain himself upon the consumption of worlds. In essence, Galactus destroys by necessity, fulfilling the cosmic balance. Yes, actually, he does. That's exactly because he is a necessity in his universe too. So, yes, actually, Galactus fits the title of God of Destruction much better than Beerus does. Hulk and the Lantern Corps, beyond rage. To which Lantern Corps does Bruce Banner truly belong? The knee-jerk answer is red for rage for Hulk, but yet rage is not the sum of his being. Hulk and Banner are alike and capable of profound love, both evident in devotion to Betty Ross, and some iterations even Natasha Romanoff. Love has often been the only force strong enough to pacify the Hulk storms. Furthermore, Hulk's compassion surfaces time and time again. Despite relentless persecution by military, he takes great care and shields civilians from harm. That is true, but you have to understand, when you're dealing with a Lantern Corps, it is the dominant emotion. He has all of these in him, 100%. And we're talking about as the Hulk and as Bruce Banner. But as the Hulk, it's rage. It is rage. He is rage personified. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. And that is just how Hulk functions. Yes, he has other emotions in him, but unfortunately, the dominant one is rage. But with Bruce Banner, however, that's a very different answer. Like if Bruce, when he's not the Hulk, had a lantern ring come to him, I don't think it would be rage. Like Hulk, that being said, unless the Hulk inside of him is bringing a red ring to him. But yeah, I don't think it would be rage. If anything, he's actually probably a lantern more of either love or hope, because he's always trying to find hope to either cure himself or just be a hero, do good with this. Again, he also answered, gone on saying, but this answer is not, Hulk is not one being, but many. The amalgamy of fractured personalities should not each be judged individually. Perhaps the Hulk course not. I see what you're doing with that, but unfortunately, no. Except for like say Joe Fixit and maybe Professor Hulk, the majority of the Hulks, the Green Scar, the Savage Hulk, World Breaker, even Cole is actually when Hulk gets sad. Cole is a reverse Hulk, Hulk's Hulk. They are mostly all, but when he comes out again, it's all anger after that. Again, you have to talk about the dominant trait, not all of them. So, I mean, yeah, technically speaking, it's you're dealing with the amalgamation emotion, but it's still the dominant emotion going on in there. Okay, on canine companions, what breeds of dog, those loyal companions of humankind, do you hold dearest? Oh, I love all dogs. Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. I have always had dogs, but they've always been decent sized dogs. I don't see myself ever owning like a Pomeranian or a Chihuahua or something like that, or a teacup poodle. But I mean, like a corgi, I could own a corgi. I like a corgi, and I love big dogs too. So I love all dogs. I don't hold any one dog breed dearest. Captain America versus All Might. Unfortunately, that's an All Might win right there. Now that being said, would Steve Rogers ever surpass All Might as a mentor of Class 1A? Yes, actually, he'd had some really great values to teach him as heroes. Both Rogers as a soldier and a teacher of Paragon discipline and compassion. Could he approach to heroes and outshine All Mights? Yeah, actually, I think he would be, because he has been a paragon of, truth, justice, and the American way for a long time. And then, not just America, but just good human civility and decency. Eisen versus Doom. How would Sosuke Eisen regard Victor Doom? Would he perceive Doom as an equal and as intellect and ambition worthy of acknowledgement, or merely as a pawn? The only individual Eisen ever, and we had kind of answered this question a little earlier about could he see through the illusion. The only individual Eisen ever saw as his equal or even greater is Urahara Kisuke. He openly said, "Nope, you're smarter than me. I acknowledge that." So he's. But that being said, that's not to say he couldn't acknowledge, like, say, Doom's intelligence. I don't think he'd see him as a pawn. He'd probably see him more of as a competitor. Even like Mayuri, he doesn't see as a pawn. He sees him as, a pain in the ass, because he's the one who built the chair that keeps him in there. Now, again, we've talked about who would actually win in the fight. That would be very difficult to know. So that being said, the Thor Odinson, a worthy destroyer. At last, we return to Divinity. Would Thor Odinson prove himself to be a good god of destruction? Thor, probably not. And 1 second here. I'm getting the next one up here because it's the last question. Thor, probably not, because that's unlike Galactus, whose actual whole vibe is destruction, and he does it well and keeps balance and all that. Thor, that's not his vibe. He's not. He's a powerful destroyer, yes, but like in terms of his raw power. But no, he's not. He's not, I think, a good candidate. And finally, Kenpachi Zaraki versus Lemon Ruse. Who prevails? The clash between Kenpachi, the insatiable bad maniac of the Gote 13, and Lemon Ruse, Primarch of the Space Wolves, embodiment of raw, unrelenting violence, whose ferocity reigns supreme. Again, I was literally just trying to look this up, couldn't find much, but it's a scaling issue. Unless you can give me an argument to tell me that he could literally blow up a meteor with just a extinction level event meteor with just a swing of his blade. Furthermore, cut through the very fabric of space and dimensional void itself, or go even beyond that, because Kenpachi scales, honestly, to, roughly speaking, Yamamoto levels at this point, if not higher. He has surpassed Yamamoto. It's all but confirmed he's done that. So if Kenpachi scales about, who is at minimum a solar system plus galaxy destroyer with just the power of existing with his Bankai, let alone using it, and Kenpachi's as fast as that, you need, again, this is me trying to, not knowing maybe enough about 40k lore, maybe Mark can answer this. You would need to really give me a good argument for this, because I'm not, let me look it up again. Lumar powers and abilities. Hold on. In fact, Lemon Ruse. Scaling. What's his scaling? Give me scaling on this guy before I get my final answer, because I want to be as fair as possible here. Power scale. I don't want just scale. I want power scaling, because I know if I just do scale, I'm just going to get like figurines. Power scaling. Okay. Power scale. Where do he has a low tier mid regeneration. He has type 1 and 3 immortality. And I'm just going to Versus Wiki right now. I don't care if some people get on my case for this. What are some of your best physical traits here? Like, where do you scale? Okay. Okay. Transonic. Well, that's great. City. Taclosi. City Block Plus. Yeah, I mean, look, Versus Wiki isn't the best place to always go to, but it's at least the first thing I can find here. Yeah, does he have any sort of like transformation state? No, I mean, yeah, no, this guy gets clapped by Kenpachi. Sorry, Mark. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe to Kenpachi for that last one, by the way. Oh man, we went well over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but I'm sure you guys will be here for it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.